that's funny because it's all about rock and roll and rock steady. All
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And we should be live. Hey, everybody. We're here.
hello, Mary Lou.
Welcome,
Hi,
welcome,
buddy.
welcome.
We heard you watch the show. One of your songs. It's all about
I love the setting, Amber. I love you're just out in it with the fancy microphone. It's a perfect combination.
Oh man, this is what I used to record my drumming.
Nice.
Yeah. Did you
Nice.
Charlie and Colleen, were you able to get the link that I sent Justin?
No, but I mean, I didn't look for it either. So,
Email?
Colleen hasn't been here all day, and I've been so busy.
Cool. I basically compiled a document as a general outline, not necessarily something to follow, but just something with a lot of different information about diet and prana absorption, because I feel like what we're talking about is essentially transitioning to how do we optimize our temple's template to assimilate the finer forms of prana that we are meant to run on. And so it's also designed to share with everyone who's watching live and everyone who watches this after, just as a reference point. It has a curated list of all alkaline heirloom foods, because the heirloom foods tend to be more alkaline. It has PDFs on diet. It has Dr. Robert Morse's book on nutrition. It has the mucusless diet healing system for people who are still in a cooked food transition state. And ultimately, I'm going to transition it into its own video, but I figured it would just be a useful reference point for people to have tools and information to look through on their own time, and maybe even during the presentation if they choose to. And I don't know I guess would the best way to be just to send that in the live chat, Justin?
So the link's already in the show notes. It's the first link at the top. So anyone who's following along, just check in the show notes and you can see that the link that Amber's talking about. And it's got a whole bunch of really good videos, a whole bunch of good references. It's well put together. I did a quick look through last night.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Oh, perfect. I see that. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, this is so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so do y'all want to just jump right into some questions? I've got a bunch of emailed questions to go over from health-related stuff. Do you want to just get right into it, or do y'all have anything to cover otherwise? We'll just jump right into the questions then.
Yeah, let's jump right in.
All right. So let's see. The first one I've got, so this is from Finn. So since half a year, I've been on raw fruits and veggies for 2 meals a day and a little cooked vegan food and nuts for the third. My blood is clean meanwhile, but I cannot get off the regular medicine for rheumatoid arthritis. I try every now and again, but pain throws me back each time. Living on fruits only, I tried and I like it best, but my kidneys and bladder heavily protested, so that's too challenging still. The present balance works, except for the regular medicine I still have to take. My plan is to continue this way and work on slowly replacing the cooked foods by all raw. My question, is it possible that rheumatoid arthritis won't be affected by this raw food diet and needs other treatment? So I guess the question is, would she be able to work her way off of work her way off of the medication in time?
So in my experience, I would look at the chemical formula for the medication that you're taking, which you can easily find online, and check out if it's acidic forming. And I would guess 99% of the time it will be acid forming, and 100% yes. Anything that you're taking can be weaned off of, but it has to be titrated down slowly. I would recommend talking with whoever prescribed that medication about this process, and working in a plan of weeks or months or however long feels right for you to titrate down, which just means to decrease slowly the amount that you're taking in relationship to how your body's responding to that. And there's a link in the top link. If you click that, go to the video and watch it after this. It's called How to Get Kidney Filtration. Most people's kidneys are not filtering the lymphatic system, so they're just circulating the acids back into their body. You can watch that video to see, one, am I filtering, and then two, how to get filtration. So I would just say talk to whoever prescribed that to you about a slow titration, and make sure that you know how to get your kidneys filtering, because as long as the kidneys are down, the adrenals will be down, and acid and inflammation will be going through the whole body. And all arthritis is just hyperacidity in certain parts of the body accumulating.
Yeah, that's a great response, Amber. And just remember, folks,
Hey, Amber, when you're not speaking, do you mind muting your mic? We're getting some feedback when others are speaking. Thanks, appreciate it.
so
Go ahead.
what others call arthritis, whatever form of arthritis, is that it always is in places of U-turn, 90-degree turns, and 45. It's angles. There, because you have very few angles of light flowing into your crown. Your crown is closed, and your eyes are closed. And I say that metaphorically for people who are coming to us from a acidic-based diet. So the crown is closed, your eyes are glazed over, and you're not receiving 360 degrees. And of course, that's a process, but you're not receiving 2 or 3 angles of light. You're receiving 1 angle of light, and that's not enough. So your whole body comes to life with light. That's how this all works. And remember, while the light of the sun in the sky, and it isn't, it's still God's creation, and it's still photonic light from God. The difference is, the whole point of this is that you need it to enter in you to illuminate your torch or lantern, so that you can find the way. And that way is rising up with the tide, which is mother, the rising tide of fortune. And you rise up. But to do that, again, this is all elemental core building blocks. So this is the breath you take. These are the thoughts that you do or you don't take. This is the food that you eat. So a really big question right off the bat in response to that question, Justin, would be, what is this cooked vegan diet? It didn't mean literally about anything. There's a video that Santos and I did with Mark Devlin, that's on our channel. And it basically, what Mark wanted in the show was to specialize in this. Why do so many people who legitimately give a vegan diet a go, why are they not all succeeding or soaring in the way that we're talking about? That show, Santos and I introduced the concept of the Garden of Eden diet. And this is a raw diet, Amen raw. We are Amen raw. We are meant to be raw. And so until you're doing that, a vegan diet can mean virtually anything. I mean, Bill Gates' company producing the single largest market share of this sort of vegan beef that existed. So people were using it to make their burgers and everything else under the sun. And again, if you're still having yeast in your diet, so if you're ingesting bread these are demonic, absolutely demonic. You want help from the butler, not the baker, not the butcher or the baker. You want the candlestick maker. Candlestick maker's help is light. So the only way to cure, and Amber is giving a really, really good response here, and he's being, and rightly so, he's being, careful about this process and respectful to others. But that's not my that's not my way. My way is that you just have to blast through the belief systems that you have, like this ridiculous notion of rheumatoid arthritis. All rheumatoid arthritis is a blockage in any of your angles, because once again, you're lacking the angles of light from God. And again, it's the core elemental building blocks that will open up your crown, open up your eyes, open up all of the ohas within you to allow the light to shine in, because that's what it has to do, so that you can shine. So all of these fancy names that they use to categorize things, a bit of a game in and of itself. And all of it's designed to do is scare the living shit out of you. And nobody really knows much about rheumatoid arthritis because it really doesn't exist. It's just a symptom for hyperacidity. And as Amber said, it's a roadblock, it's a congestion, hyperacidity at a certain point. So again, just look at your body, ankles, your feet or toes, wow, hands, fingers, wow, look at all of the joints that are there. Look at anywhere where you've got lots of joints and where you've got lots of angles, then you've got potentially lots of roadblocks or lots of congestion. So you got bad traffic. You have bad traffic in you, and the single best way to do this is to take no thought, is to control your breathing, which will control your brain waves, and then it's the food that you eat. So go raw, 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 raw. Go raw. A man raw is us. This is the answer in plain sight. That's why with every Catholic prayer, they always end it with Amen, raw. They just forgot the raw part. Amen, raw. And so I'll pass it back over to Justin for his thoughts and for Amber to respond to that as well. But this is what Josh and I teach and share with others, is if you have the courage to do so, go for it completely raw, because that's what you are. You're a frugivore.
Yeah, and I would just add on to that, really be paying attention to the source of water that you're drinking to, and the clarity and cleanliness of your water source, because really the whole purpose of water is to constantly be giving us that internal baptism and washing away all of these excess minerals that we're putting into it. There's a lot of misconceptions that we have to be taking vitamins and minerals and supplements and all these other sorts of things, and especially like calcium. Calcium is such a horrible thing that's pushed on people to take. But all of these extra minerals do is just accumulate in areas, accumulate in joints, and accumulate in places we don't want. And our body produces all the minerals that we possibly need. We just have to provide the fuel for them. We just have to provide the glucose for our body to produce all the minerals that we possibly could ever need. So really be focusing on your source of water, and distilled water is absolute best, because that is the purest form of water. And it what it does is it takes any excess minerals out and helps to purge them from the body, so that they don't accumulate in those places that we don't want them, which is another cause for arthritis, which is just, as Charlie said, a blockage, so a way to keep things from functioning in the way that they should. So yeah, that's what I got to say on that.
No doubt on that tip, I would most definitely agree. Distilled is the way to go. And for anyone who thinks that we need inorganic minerals, your body cannot do anything with anything that's not organic. The magic of the plants and fungi is that they can transmute these inorganic minerals into organic minerals that you can assimilate into your body. So distilled is a great way to go. If you don't have a distiller, I have a link in the page. It's called findaspring.com. It's really fun. You can look at where springs are around you, especially in the United States. Actually, it might only be for the US, I forget. But man, I mean, I've had Shasta spring water. I've had Sonoma spring water. I've had some of the best spring waters in the world, some that are actually bottled and sold, and it's fun. But now I'm personally at a point where I don't drink water anymore at all. Because what's even better than distilled water is alkaline structured water from fruits. So I just get all my water from watermelon, from mango. I mean, it's so easy. It's just like, this is the thing about the diet. This is my first time. I've been traveling for a year. This is my first time traveling, going raw. And I kind of had this background thing of like, oh, is this going to be hard? Absolutely the opposite. I don't need to cook. I don't need a kitchen. All I need is my knife and a spoon, and I'm good to go. I also have tools for coconuts because I have a pretty intense love affair with coconut meat. And I want to address a question that I saw in the chat that I responded to. Someone asked about nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast is not nutritional. There's a great video that I posted featuring Chef Aki, who's a raw food chef, and it actually contributes to diseases like colitis. And you don't want to be eating yeast. Yeast is not a food. I know it kind of tastes cheesy, but you can get cheesiness from nuts and nut butters, especially. So if you're craving anything like dairy in your transition, I'd recommend tahini. I'd recommend coconut butter. Any kind of almond cheese. I would not eat cashews. I would stay away from cashews like the plague. Cashews are related to poison ivy. They are never raw. They will always be steamed. If you look at the cashew industry, it scalds people's hands and it will basically melt their skin. But because they need the money, they do it. So it actually feeds into a very bad industry. I had a friend when I was in Nicaragua. He came back and his hands just looked melted beyond belief. So I'd stay away from cashews. Really, I would just focus on sesame seed, walnut, almond. I would focus on those three. And yeah, in relationship to water and nutritional yeast, that's mostly what I have to say about that. But distilled is great, but even better is just the alkaline structured water in fruit. It's all ready for you.
That is so brilliant. Thank you, Amber. Again, God's got this covered. I mean, come on.
It's true. You have to make sure though that you drink enough, because I was going to add earlier, just you don't really have to drink water. You can drink the water of the fruit, which is amazing, and it's got everything in it you need, and it gives you so much energy, and it's wonderful. But make sure you drink enough. Right? Because there are issues when people have a lot of acidity and they need to flush. So you really need to drink a lot.
Yeah, so the old adage should really be a watermelon a day.
Keeps the doctor away.
We'll keep anything that's acidity. Negative away. I mean, that's essentially, the bulk of what I eat. Colleen drinks orange juice. I eat watermelon. Now, there's some questions about this. Let me make this really clear again. Watermelon has so little pulp in it that you don't need to juice it. I was juicing for the longest time, but like I shared with everyone, one day I bought, just because it's what they had, a 24 monster watermelon, 24 kilo watermelon. Mm-hmm. It made that much pulp. The entire 24 kilos made that much pulp. So you're drinking, when you eat a watermelon, you're drinking from God's tap.
And coconuts, right? I mean, from Mexico, yeah. So it's a little easier for us to gather these things. But and what do you think, Amber, about cucumbers, which are also very watery, cucumber water?
Yes, it's interesting that many monks and people who are practicing Ayurveda actually see cucumbers as slightly poisonous. They definitely don't eat the skin. I certainly enjoy them from time to time, but really the best way to know if something is good for your body is to, first of all, make sure your kidneys are filtering and that your system is clear. But really the best thing to know if something is for your body is to taste your urine after you eat it. And I know some people probably freak out about that, and I completely understand. What I didn't understand is all urine is filtered blood plasma. And when you are in the womb, you are basically encased even into your lungs in your mother's urine. It's also known as autotherapy. It has some fancy Sanskrit word like Shambhashustra or something, but there's a Sanskrit term for this therapy. And I would honestly even say that even urine therapy is probably the most hydrating. I'd say it's probably even more hydrating than watermelon, and in my own experience of it. It's not something I do continuously, especially while traveling. I need to be in a certain state with a certain amount of purity in my body. But I swear, sometimes, if I'm on the mango, the coconut, and the watermelon, it will literally taste like the urine is flavored like movie theater popcorn butter, which is traditionally, it has like coconut butter in the movie theater popcorn. And it's pretty glorious, and I'm not ashamed. And if you're gonna freak out, that's okay. I would refer you to the very top link, the picture that I sent, which says, all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as being self-evident. So I would really recommend people to look more into that. But to go back to the question, cucumbers, I'll do them sometimes, but I'm more interested to see why certain monks see them as slightly poisonous and they stay away from them. So I've read that. I haven't done the urine testing of that myself, just because I got so many coconuts and mangoes and oranges and watermelon and passion fruit to go through that they're lower on the list. But if there's a salad, I'll throw them in.
Yeah, again, just so brilliant. Thank you. Again, folks, to go over these things as clearly as possible. First, each one of you, we all have similar realities because brothers and sisters. We're all brothers and sisters of the one father and the one mother. So we have so much in common. The difference between is a mystery to us all. The distance between us is so small. We are different. And so Colleen and I, who are so alike in so many ways, we are different. And certain things that are about me that are very, very unique the way it should be, and the same with Colleen. So the Amber touched on this. So the thing is that it's an experimental process, and it's always how you feel. And this is the beautiful thing about being alive and awake, is that the results are immediate. So this is all of what John Lennon was singing about in Instant Karma. It's going to get you positively or negatively. It's going to get you in the instant when you to the truth, when you cut your ties from the system of man and you connect to God, then you're on this line, and that lifeline has no future, it has no past, it only has a moment, and everything is instantaneous, right? There's no such thing as the speed of light. Come on.
I just wanted to quickly.
I have to. Okay, so go ahead, but I have to finish that. Go ahead.
Okay,
No, you go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly go back into the urine therapy with Remembrancer before we lose that train of thought. Now, a lot of people, and including he's doing a dance, and including Dr. Morris. I have some discrepancies with some people because I really believe that urine therapy is amazing. And I've tried it myself I wouldn't tell you this is amazing if I didn't do it myself.
Exactly.
So it took me a long time to actually try it. But once I cleaned my body up,
Yeah.
and I noticed the difference when I started eating certain foods, if I brought a food back in, like cauliflower or something, oh my goodness, you can taste it, and you it's just gross. Or if you drink a beer or something, there's a flavor that comes in. And so what it does, this is the beauty of what it does. It actually, it makes you so clean because you don't want to taste that anymore. If you're actually dedicated to this process of urine therapy, and after the research that you do, you see all of these ancient texts and scripts that are talking about the healing that urine does. And I went to an iridologist about 6 years ago, and she was 93 years old, and I didn't know it at the time. I thought she was in her 60s. And it was here in Mexico, in Jalapa. And she was totally fruit juice, totally raw, and that's what she did in her practice. So she put myself and Sinead on a cleanse, and it was a month-long cleanse, and it was so intense. It included onions and garlic, but that was just as a medicine, and it was really, really harsh, but it was so good. And I did this for a month. I was dedicated, and after that, I learned that she had done urine therapy, and I had no idea that it was the truth. I thought it was just a joke someone was telling me. And then when I started doing the research, it took me about maybe a couple of months to do this, and it takes a lot. But it's only brainwashing, right, and all of the there. So I began incorporating this into my I believe the difference. I couldn't believe my 7-day urine looping fast, and it was just like, holy cow. And I want to do another one because it is just so cleansing. It is so rejuvenating, and it completely busts all of that mucus and everything out. It's amazing. And you start to, it tastes like coconut water after a while, and you're just like, this is amazing.
Of course it does.
And my body just, you know, when you're drinking water, and it's kind of hard sometimes if you're drinking a lot or any other beverage, but this stuff just goes straight down. It's like your body wanted it. And that's how I feel for me. And I know I don't talk a lot about it because it is kind of a taboo thing, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it. My son was completely grossed out. He's like, please just stop talking. So I don't talk about it to a lot of people, but it's nothing to be ashamed of because it is God-given. And I just wanted to ask you about Dr. Morris. He does talk about it is not a good thing to do, and many people follow Dr. Morris, but I disagree with him on this one.
Absolutely. All you have to do is go ahead, Amber.
Okay. I'm so excited to tackle this. Yes, I absolutely agree. There are things that I really do not agree with Dr. Morse on. And what I think it is, Colleen, is that he is holding a certain frequency in Babylon. And that is requiring him to not even follow his own advice. So he doesn't eat raw. He doesn't eat the way he tells people to eat. But this is part of our own process, is discernment, and also accepting the perfection of what is. So I think it's a good thing that Morris is eating these cooked foods and staying in that lower frequency, because if he was like on oranges all the time, he would just become so ethereal. He might just vanish to the tropics or something. But for him, it's necessary to have that density to stay in that frequency of helping people who are at all levels of the equation. And yes, urine therapy is one of the many things I would disagree with Dr. Morris on. And it really just goes back to learning the language of your own body and how that is speaking to what is truly good for you. And I would say that the taste of the urine is very indicative of the foods that are meant to be in your vessel.
Absolutely beautiful, absolutely true. Thank you for sharing that. And that's very true about Dr. Morris, is that he says one thing, does another. We can't have that anymore. Can't have that anymore from anyone in any position of teaching or leadership. You have to draw your line in the sand, and then you have to be from that side, wherever you want to be. It's up to you. We have free will, but But this lying and the subterfuge has to stop. So somebody asked in the chat about what is the ultimate water fast. It's called juicing. It's the ultimate water fasting. If you want to water fast, you juice. And what the thing about juicing is, and what your urine, which is essentially what you need to recognize, is that urine therapy is the ultimate juicing. It is. And all you have to do to know that you're supposed to drink your urine is just do research. Happens with regard to your urine, where it starts and what the finished product is and what it has to go through. Ask yourself, why does that miracle, it's nothing short of a miracle, why does that miracle exist if it's just supposed to be excreted out? So some people are grossed out by this. This is called the Ouroboros. And the Ouroboros is, you put shit in, you get shit out. You listen to lies all day, you're a liar. Can't help it. You can't help but be one if you listen to lies all day. If you eat shit, you are shit. If you drink shit, you are shit. Frank Zappa said, you are what you is. And that is exactly so. So if you want popcorn, movie theater popcorn butter urine, do the work. Do the work. What's the work? Take no thought for your life. Breathing, Buddha breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, which is this replenishing, reunifying you from above to below and cleansing yourself out with a single breath. That's a Buddha breath. And then the food you eat. So the ultimate juicing is your urine. How does Jesus go through the desert 40 days and 40 nights without 7-Elevens? He did it with urine. And again, I think more and more of these kinds of things about the journeys and the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, Jeheshua and Mary Magdalene will come to the forefront, because I think a lot of those things did survive, and they're not allowed to see the light of day. But as I've shared with you before, the amalgam creation that we know as or refer to as Jesus Christ, Jeheshua, is this master alchemist. And alchemy and alkaline are the exact same word. They mean the exact same thing. It all starts in the claustrum, and that's why your limbic system and your endocrine system are everything, because that's your weather, that's your ether inside of you. And if you toxify with chemtrails the limbic system and the endocrine system, the rest of your body, the crops below are going to, you're going to have chaff. You will not have any wheat amongst your crops. So you have to take this seriously. And again, God thought of everything. If there was a need for a dentist, he would have made them. If there was a need for doctors, he would have made them. If there was a need for hospitals, he would have made them. There's not a need for any of these things. The mother is the way. She leads. Jesus Christ is the way, but it's only through the mother. And she is 100% pure truth. And all she shows you every single day is how to do this. Observe her, become the lighthouse, and observe the mother, and watch how everything she does is natural and in balance. Notice how everything Amber shares with you is always right to the core and perfectly balanced. And I'll just before I just pass it back to Amber, I'll just reiterate this again: the Ouroboros. There are, to make the eternal 8, there are 2 O's. There are 2 Ouroboroses. There's the red bull and the blue bull. There is the red shift, blue shift. There is the mind and the body. You have to rise. You have to rise. And it's these alkaline foods that make you light. And remember, all of these words, like light, they're holistic words. Therefore, they have holistic meanings. It's not just as opposed to darkness. It's as opposed to heavy. Why do you think that we're at the pinnacle of our fall now, right? I mean, and just look around you. Obesity is, people say, it's the number one symptom. It's the number one symptom of what's going on. That's what acidity does. It blocks you up and you turn into a blimp because you're blocked. Blimp, blocked.
You're basically like a sewer just backing up. Right?
Exactly.
You're just puffing out because all of that waste is just accumulating inside of you. And we've all been there because the foods that we eat create mucus, and then the mucus just stops anything from absorbing, and then you eat more, and it's just a vicious cycle. But
yeah,
okay.
and people talk about certain organs, like, you know, the pancreas, and it bursts or something like that, and it's like, oh my god, we got to get to the hospital in seconds. And it's, yeah, because you're a cesspool inside. You're a cesspool because you've been sucking on the tit of their success.
Okay.
And so this cleansing is so key, so that nothing will burst. Nothing will burst. And if it did, it wouldn't make any difference, because it is the river of God, is the 4 rivers of the Garden of Eden that are flowing perpetually within you.
So we're draining the swamp inside of us, just like the outside of us. But I wanted to really say one thing, Remembrancer. How do you know when your kidneys aren't filtrating? What are the symptoms, or how would you?
So the first symptoms are acute inflammation, puffiness, pain. And you'll know that you're not filtering when you pee in a glass jar, let it sit for 24 hours. And if it's clear as can be, that means there's no filtration that's going on through the kidneys. The kidneys, imagine them like colanders stacked on top of one another. That's how they work. So if the meshing of those colanders is so clogged up that nothing passes through, all that lymph is just stagnant and locked up in there, and it's going to look clear. So what you want to see is little flakes, and eventually a kind of semi-flaky gelatinous swirl that will be at the bottom when after 24 hours you move it. It almost looks gelatinous. It almost looks sticky. And it took me quite a bit of time to break loose my kidneys. So just expect to be patient in this transition if you're just getting into this for the first time. And I just posted the name for urine therapy in Ayurveda. It's called Shivambu Shastra. Shivambu Shastra. So look into that. I also posted the Proverbs 5:15-19 in the King James Version. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Urine therapy, indeed, is in the good book. By the way, the Old Testament is also known as the Book of Remembrance. And I want to say that I think this is why we're called brothers and sisters. Brother, cistern. Sisters are cisterns. Brothers are brothers. It's a alchemical liquid metaphor that is going on. It's all about, okay, great, thank you. It's all about the juices. And in regards to this whole, getting the old matter out of your body, this is why it's called colonization. It begins with colon for a reason. Because the way they detach people and create a mind control platform is by removing people from these natural alkaline foods, giving them the rice, the beans. They use rice to bind books in China. Just imagine what it does to your body. If it's hard to clean out of a pot, you better believe it's going to take some work to get it out of your own body. So colon isn't colonization. Colonization is also like a bacteria colony. So what's happening is that these magicians in these communions are lacing the crackers with bacteria and parasites and giving that to people, so they know exactly the frequency of the parasite these people are getting. Some parasites can live in the heart, the brain. They can live anywhere in the body. So basically, if you want to mind control someone, it's easy. You just back up their colon, change their gut microbiome, and infiltrate their vessel with the kind of parasite that will give them the weaknesses that you seek to take advantage of. And I know this sounds wild, but you better believe that this is a magical war, and that it's time to step into your divinity and get to the work of cleaning out the body. I did a 144-day juice feast. I was still having solid bowel movements on day 100. It took me until day 50 to get the burning hot sulfur out of my body. So if you have antibiotic damage, antibiotic has inorganic sulfur. Sulfur is what is added to tires to harden them. So it also hardens the intestinal tract. But sulfur has a proclivity to bond to magnesium to create magnesium sulfate, and oxygen to create sulfur dioxide. So through breath work, the oxygen can penetrate and start bonding to that sulfur. And through watermelon work, which is a pleasure, it will bind to that stuff and strip it away. So that's all in the juice feast. That's all in the page that is linked. If you were to do one thing and take one thing away today, I would say the juice feast literally does pretty much everything you would need to do. If you're taking herbs or supplements, it's symptomatic. I'm not saying not to do it, but I'm saying it is symptomatic that there's something that needs to be adjusted in your endocrine system. And to get the kidneys functioning, and to get all the acids out of the body, and literally to get all of the poop out of your body. Elvis and John Wayne both died with 40 pounds of impacted fecal matter in their body. The average person has about 15 to 20 pounds of this stuff. So when they say you're full of shit, or you're a shithead, or I feel like shit, these words are for a reason. It kind of sounds funny at first, but when you really get into the depth of it and you're on the juice feast, you're just like, oh my holy mother, this is so deep. So deep. That is Beelzebub. Beelzebub is Lord of the Flies, like John Rose said, who teaches juice feasting out of Houston, Texas. Raw vegan for 20 years, agile in the mind, buff in the body. I think he's pushing in his 60s. And yeah, this is a really exciting journey. You have so much to look forward to. If you've never juice feasted, for me, it was the greatest experience of love, education, and a journey I'd ever been on. So really, really recommend. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, look at the juice feast. If you can only do 7 days or 3 days, whatever, just start cracking into that and get that matter out and get those kidneys filtering.
Yeah, beautifully said. And it really does give that opportunity for your, because we're talking about all of this kind of stuff, and it really gives you back that power to really feel and experiment with yourself from a clean slate, so that you can truly know you're not reading in a book, you're not learning from somebody else how your body reacts to things. But when we're constantly just inputting all of these random stimuli that we have no idea what they're doing, and we don't know why we're feeling a certain way, or why we always have this lack of energy or whatever, the juice feast gives that sort of neutral starting point, so you can springboard off of that and really realize like what you're intaking and how it comes across. And you can adopt things like urine therapy, which give another little taste and to it, and to see like how things react. But we got to start with that neutral starting point. You got to start from ground zero, from that 0 point.
Yeah, and again, the aspect that we haven't even touched on yet so far in the show is that as these creations of light, experiencing ourselves in this coalescence of matter, it's all about the balancing between the two worlds. But when you live in the physical world, you'll get cuts. You'll have accidents, and you'll get cuts and stuff like that, because you have the experience of living in the world. It's just an experience.
You're in therapy on the cuts.
but if you have any damage to your skin, if you go to a pharmacy and you're putting an ointment or a salve on, it's shit. They may call it by a different name, but it's just shit. So if you look at the small print at the back, and this is your tube, and you just squeeze a little bit out, and it's a cortisone steroid of some type. On the back, it just says shit, and it's shit. So just apply generously, and then come back and buy some more shit. But if you apply the Garden of Eden to it, if you apply the Christic liquid within you, then you are doing the opposite of shit. You're applying rays of light. You're applying Amen Ra. You're applying alkalinity, which is alchemy, which is heaven upon earth. So how you heal yourself is entirely up to you. But again, God didn't forget anything. He didn't forget anything. Everything is provided for you. Everything. Your teeth, for example, are an absolute miracle. They are. But he didn't make them to withstand acid, because he never thought for an instant that we would be so ignorant to apply battery acid to our teeth 24/7 and then wonder why there's little craters in them. But the brilliance of it is that if you oil pull with coconut or urine, and you can heal your entire mouth. You can cleanse your tongue. You can heal your teeth. The enamel grows back. The actual bone structure of the teeth will grow back. You're a miracle. How did Amber start the show? By saying we have to get back to our divinity. And so, and everywhere you go to them, everywhere, you've lost your divinity, because they take it away. There's nothing that they say or do that will help you or heal you. The fact of the matter is, the mother provides you with everything that you need out there, but the father provides you with everything you need in there. And I'm just going to go to the whiteboard for a sec here, and just take a look at this, because again, essentially, everyone has become Frosty the Snowman, which is just, you're there for a few days and then you die kind of thing. And it's just this snowball with that snowball, put in another snowball. So father, mother, child. And you're there for a few days until the weather warms up and you melt away, and then you're done. But when Frosty came to life, you'll notice that you didn't see the seams between the snowballs anymore, the two Ouroboros. He became sinuous, sinew, the fiber of life within you, which is, God consciousness. But that has to flow. So you take a look at the number 8, and what are you looking at? You're looking at a river in perpetual flow. There is no beginning. There is no end. There's just constant flow. The whole essence of you is to constantly flow. There's no end to you unless you want it, and then that's electricity, and that's a choice. But magnetism is an eternal force. You stick 2 magnets together and walk away and come back in a trillion years, they're still doing it. That's what magnetism does. That is that force of eternal life. And that's what you have to become. What is magnetism? It's alkalinity. What is electricity? It's acidic. It's toxic in nature, and it constantly falls. So you can look at it kind of this way, that when you're separated from God, you're the snowman for 3 days. And above you is this brilliant limbic system, and below you is your skeletal system. And they're sundered apart. And so you have to connect them. And the only way to connect them is the X. X always marks the spot. X always marks the spot, because it's the unification of 2 worlds, and then they begin to flow. And then that's what Jesus Christ is. So I cannot stress this enough. One of the reasons why, because Justin was asking us if we could clarify that about, the allegorization of Jeheshua into Jesus Christ. It's because Jesus Christ has to stand for everything. Jesus Christ has to stand for all things in all moments. He has to stand for everything. So it is a title that one has to earn. So Jeheshua, but to clarify this, of course there was Krishna, of course there was Buddha, of course there was Jeheshua, of course Zoroaster, of course. because there are people like Amber and like Josh and like Marie and like Colleen that are dedicated to doing the work. And if you go on this journey, you're going to be gifted time. It's the one thing that human beings don't have is time. They keep running out of time. But mankind, he's got nothing but time, because there's no clock on this. There's no clock on mankind, but there's a gigantic watch for human beings and in your fallen form. And so this is what I wanted to show you, is that you have everything right here, but you just live here. You deny the miracle, and it's above. So it will heal you, because all you have to do is allow it to reign, to reign supremely down upon you, the essence of you. And that's what the limbic system does. And so what is the X? What is Jesus Christ? What is this all about? It's the endocrine system. That's this magic world, this magic kingdom that unifies two worlds, the limbic to the skeletal, and in between is the endocrine system. And where does the endocrine system begin? In the third ventricle of the brain. What are the three key components to your endocrine system? The pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the hypothalamus. So melatonin, serotonin, dopamine. There you go. If you have, this is what Santos and I, and I'm sure Amber too, teach, is that when you create the Garden of Eden within you again, and when you allow these rivers to flow by releasing the Christic energy that is within you, and Amber began to talk about Christ geometry instead of geometry, and the with this unification of the two worlds. When you release the Garden of Eden within you, and the rivers are flowing within you, then there's no end to this. What does melatonin do? What does mela mean? Mela means sweet, which is the honey. And in the Bible, in the Old Testament, when Jacob crossed the river and he met God face to face in a place called Pineal, and he said, my life was preserved. Honey is a preservative. It means to preserve life. So that's melatonin, which is your pineal gland. So this is all about, you want to talk health? You want to talk health. You want to talk about getting yourself healthy. You want to talk about resurrection and living forever. Then you have to know the pineal, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus. You have to know melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. You have to be a factory producing melatonin, and nothing encourages it all. The biggest calcification, so people can't meditate or whatever else. You burn away the calcification in a second. It's this the so-called calcification of the pineal gland to up Adam and Eve. Dam up your melatonin. Melatonin is life. Life of the father. Serotonin is life. Life of Sarah, the mother. Dopamine is life. It's life of Isaac, the child. And these rivers have to flow within you, and they're above. So everything about you has to be righteous, which is up and to the right, casting thy net to the right. Because if you cast thy net to the right in every moment by being virtuous and helping, existing to help others, then your pineal gland illuminates. And this is the thing. Amber's talked about this before, and I'm going to just throw it back to everybody else. And I want Amber to speak on this if you would like to. But it's that, remember, the powers that you have inside or with yourself are endless. They truly are, because God's creation and power is endless, and his power exists within you. So the whole point of this is that you say, well, Charlie, it's easier for you because you're living in Mexico right now, and blah, 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 and I'm and it costs a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. Right? But factor in that you don't have to buy your diapers anymore. because you don't have, weepy abscesses and weepy bowels and a weepy urine system or whatever it is. So the medical cost and the travel costs and the insurance costs and all of these things against what it costs to buy an apple instead of a steak, in the long run, no matter what they do, make the apple a bargain, the best deal you've ever had. So whatever it is. And then people will say, I know, but here in the States, they poison everything, right? They spray. And we teach you again how to soak your fruit when you first get it and put it in this mixture of water with sodium bicarbonate. You can also wash with activated charcoal as well. But everybody forgets the bigger way, the more powerful way, and that is to bless your food. To bless your food. You have that power because God is within you. So bestow Jesus Christ and the power of Jesus Christ and God upon your food and heal it. Just be the conduit through your hands or through your eyes or through your voice. Sing a song. Whatever you do that is righteous, you will heal your food. And don't roll your eyes or bat your head at this notion. It's real. This is real. This is powerful. You can wash away 5 years of spraying that apple in seconds by invoking Christ consciousness or God consciousness upon that apple. You can. It will heal and fix and correct anything and everything, but you have to go within to evoke this righteousness that exists within.
Yeah, which is why it's so powerful to really get back to the foods that require our hands to consume and to use, and to not be using this cutlery and needing to chop and process and cook and all these other sorts of things. The more that we can come in contact, the more that we can truly love our food and eat with our hands and things of that nature. It's a way to grow that connection with the food and to bless it in that sort of sense. So well said. So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump over to another emailed question. Or Amber, did you have something to add real quick?
Indubitably, I do. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm glad we're getting into those more subtle areas, because if you look at the document I composed, it's called Padre, which is Spanish for father, and it stands for prana absorption, diet, regeneration, and energy. And basically, what I talked about was that each of the 7 chakras feeds off of a different energy that has an elemental correspondence. So we're going to be talking about the first 2 elementals, which is the root of earth and then the navel of water. So that's the structured water, distilled water, and then the kind of more dense earth foods. But we are also fed by the fire element. We're fed by the air element. We're fed by sound. We're fed by thought, and we are fed by light. And if you look at the document, you can see the etymology of each of those elements that are corresponding with them. They're very interesting. And so what we're talking about here is alkaline. Al means the. Ka is like a spirit body in the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Line. The alkaline is the line of the ecliptic that the sun goes through. So we are essentially on the hero's journey of following this passage of the sun of this alkaline to become alkaline in our body. And ultimately, the crescendo of beauty in this whole progression is the moment where you realize you are literally a microcosm of the macrocosm. And as that is true, you can literally not add to something that is already everything. This is the paradox of materialism. You try to add to what is already whole. And so you just run into problem after problem. And this is what you see in the juice feast. which, by the way, I talked with Santos about the juice feast while I was in the juice feast. The link is in the comments. It's at the end of the video. This is the thing in the juice feast, though. You'll go through periods where you get something out of your body, and then something leaves your life or comes into your life, like instantaneously. And you start to realize that by removing these things, this weight that you're carrying unconsciously, you are returning to a greater wholeness and totality, where you need less, and really the less you need, the more you have, is a philosophy that I keep stepping into. And so you can be kind of anxious coming from the Western materialism of that false security. But I think it's the highest excitement to return to the fact that you were born perfect as you came into this world, and you literally cannot add to something that is already everything.
Well said. Thank you. Okay, so we've got a quick question from Patricia, and she said, since adopting the alkaline diet, she's adopted halitosis, or bad breath, and she thinks possibly from the candida die-off. So what can I do to heal this? And just quickly to say on that, I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. If you want to accelerate the process of detoxing, juice feasting is the best way to go, and to help sort of add to that. But yeah, you're experiencing sort of that candida die-off, you're experiencing that parasite die-off, and it can have that effect with people, but it's a normal part of the process. But you're doing it, you're getting those bad things out of you, so it's a good sign. So just keep it up, and yeah, juice feasting will accelerate that process if you want to kick it up a notch.
And just remember what Remembrancer said. He was on a 100-day fast on juice, and it was still on the 100th day there was solid bowel movement. You have a lot of shit inside of you, and there's a lot of stuff coming up. So it's trying to come out, and the more that you cleanse, your body's just going, where can I dump it from? And it won't do it all at once. I mean, I've heard of these healing crises. I've never experienced a healing crisis, but I've just been throughout my life. But many people do experience them, and it's a very real thing. But you can just imagine the odors that are coming out your mouth. I mean, what's inside of you that's just, and not to mention the parasites, which we really haven't gotten into yet. But I know Remembrancer will absolutely get into that. But it's just all of this sewer that's backed up in 100 days, and you're still having, you're not eating anything solid, but you're still having solid bowel movements. That says something. So if you do any research and you look into these cleanses, you can see these horrible things, these black tarish things that come out of you after 100 days or longer. And sometimes 3 or 4 different cleanses that people have gone on, and this is like a rubber inner tube that comes out of your intestines. It's just all this caked in fecal matter and God knows what else. It's really gross, but to me it's really interesting, because it's fascinating that we can actually continue to live with all of this crap inside of us, not very well, and we're slowly dying. But we want to change that. We want to thrive and be in abundance. So we want to have the light inside of us, and you can't do that when you're piled full of shit.
And beautiful, Angel. It's so true. It is. It's the truth. So you just have to deal with it. Remember, the world that they force us to live within by playing the game is the butcher and the baker. It is. It's the butcher and the baker. You have to become the candlestick maker. There's nobody that does. And candlesticks, the candlestick maker makes these gold and brass holders for this angelic light. And what is urine? It's UR. And the original spelling of the Ouroboros is not OUR, it's UR. And UR is gold. OR is gold as well, but UR is the original gold. And then Ein is this divine river that is within you. Ein is the vine, and that's what you have to be. You have to become the golden vine that constantly rises, seeks God by rising to the rising of the sun in the east every single day. So remember that. Butcher, baker, and that's it. You're full of shit. But if you become the candlestick maker, you're full of light, because that is the golden path of our divine mother. And she rises up to our heavenly Father. And it's the only way. So it's Clint. And so the question was, is there anything I can do in the meantime? Like oil pulling is a real great one, because it's sucking, it's drawing, it's trying to draw everything that is toxic within you, and then out it goes. And again, with urine, it's very, very powerful. So again, when you do the work to turn your urine into the one of the rivers of the Garden of Eden, then that's the fountain of youth. That's eternal life, because your pineal gland is open, active, flowing, and that you are the fountain of youth. I'm sorry, but it's within you. You are Florida up and to the right, up and to the right. So get to Jacksonville. So it's St. Augustine. St. Augustine would be the ultimate location, pineal gland, St. Augustine, St. Augustus. And so that's what this is all about. It's doing this work. When you turn your urine into a river of Jesus Christ within you, that's where Jesus went inside of us to become the alkaline river of life for alchemy within us. When you turn your body into the temple that it is, that is by releasing Christ consciousness. So this temple is divine because your Holy Father is here. So this is God consciousness, which is the seat of your soul. But your body is supposed to become the temple of life as well. And that's the tree of life, which is the Christmas tree. And that is becoming Jesus Christ. Do the work. Don't let this brilliant man, don't let these geniuses that came before us, don't let them die. Don't do this. Jesus was a candlestick maker. I went into this before about what Carpenter really means. Jesus was a candlestick maker, guaranteed, because he's all about alchemy, because he was the alkaline man. He's the representation of the alkaline man, of body and of mind. So the body is Christ consciousness and the mind is God consciousness. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. And then it all happens here on the plane of inertia, which is Mother Eartha. The plane of inertia is Mother Eartha, and X always marks the spot between the Father and the child living between two worlds. And that's the plane of inertia, which is Mother Eartha.
I love you, Charlie. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. I want to share a syncretism that came through that's relevant to this question of what can I do? And I would say, first of all, what you can do is take a big, deep breath and practice digesting that breath, because that is feeding your light body, which is a Taurus, which is a bull, which is Abel, which is your light body. Abel is your light body. Cain is your spine, your carbon-based body. Cain and Abel are the two bodies you have, the spiritual and the physical body. And so we're talking about feeding the physical, but we're also capable of feeding our spiritual body through this gnosis that we're all sharing and uncovering together, through the art and music that we commune with, through the words we speak over to imbue our food with a coherent essence that we want to embody. And I think it's really important to realize that candida and parasites, they are your friends. They're doing a job that you're not able to, which is breaking down food that was never supposed to be in your body. If you didn't have parasites, if you didn't have candida, you'd be dead, because these things would fecundate and they would rot, they would putrefy, and you're a goner in that condition. So just remember, these are your friends. They are doing you a great service. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. If you just try to go to high fruit after having, rice and beans all your life, or whatever, gluten, glue, you're just going to feed the candida because this meshing of the intestinal tract cannot osmotically absorb this finer prana that you're introducing. You are still dense down there. So the density needs to be removed first. You need to drop the weight so you no longer have to wait for your magnificence to unfold. So I would really recommend doing colonic hydrotherapy, enemas, but juice feasting even above those, because juice feasting will clean out the small intestine, which the colonic and enemas will not clean out. So highly recommend the juice feast again for all things. So just know that what is probably going on if you're introducing a lot of fruits, the candida is just feeding off those sugars because it's not absorbing into the intestinal tract as you were designed to do, because you need to do the work to get there in the first place. And just to address a comment I saw, the last thing is that you don't want to jump into urine therapy. If you're still even when you manage to break through and you're filtering your lymph, you don't want to be recycling lymph back into your body. And I think this is also why Dr. Morse was like, that's a bad idea because I equate urine with lymphatic exhaust. But when you get all that out, then you can have the privilege, and it is a privilege. Let me tell you, there's hormones in there. There's all kinds of minerals. I will literally feel like I am high when I have a good quality autotherapy session. I get creatively inspired. And I know that sounds strange to some people. Some people are like, I know what you're talking about, but it is true. If you just look at what it is, and if you look at how much we've been made to be ashamed of that part of our body, you can put two and two together and realize that this is a substance that is a great medicine, but you have to do the work even to have the pleasure to do autotherapy. It's wild.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Charlie's got something else. Let me throw that up there.
Just really quickly, just talking about this osmosis and the osmotic principle and principle within us, and how everything they do is anti osmosis. But look at what literally osmosis, which is this miracle, right? It's the miracle rising. So what did I just say? That your body has to become Jesus Christ to raise up to the reigning of the golden crown of the Father in God consciousness, which is in your mind. So os is the open eye, or could be seen as raw. Mo is motion, which is magnetism. Literally, mag in Sanskrit means motion, which is magnetism, which is the mother. And then cis is the union of these two things. So and this is the oneness. So this is syncretism, and this is Santos Bonacci. Osmosis is syncretism. It's amber and it's Santos Bonacci, and it's the basis of all things. The open eye achieves this by being electricity. Di is the ultimate. It is the ultimate because it's stillness and silence. There's no movement here. But the mother is so in love with the father, she can't help with her constant motion to constantly move in these loving, eternal shapes like an 8 around the father, and it creates friction. And the friction is the child. And this the union between these two worlds, which is the Bible, which is the two bulls, the red bull and the blue bull. We are Cain and Abel. And again, like so brilliantly Amber said, Cain is the skeletal system, is the body, but Abel is the higher system, the higher mind. So that is an allegory, of course, for the ultimate reference for Cain and Abel, which is left brain, right brain. Left brain, right brain. When you talk left brain, you go straight down to your spine and you're headed right to the red chakra, which is the Muladhara root chakra. So when God called Cain and Abel to come see him, Cain, who was a toiler of the earth, he tilled and toiled with all of his labors, which were all of the root-filled vegetables from his garden. And allegorically, Abel came to God with with a perfect lamb. God barbecued that lamb, and they, oh, it's so good eating that lamb. And so,
No, they didn't.
no, they didn't. It's an allegory. So Abel came to God empty-handed, but full of mind, and that is the blood of the perfect lamb upon the brow, which is Jesus Christ. So again, that's Christ consciousness rising to where it has to go,
Right.
which is here, which is the 13th cranial
And it
nerve.
makes sense because he was full of light, right? He was full of light, and Cain was full, it was dense. He was dense from all of the earthly pleasures, all of the earth. So that makes sense that Abel was just light, pure photon light. His candle was lit. He had oil in his lamp.
Exactly.
Whereas when you lower your frequency, you can't raise the chrism, and you can't light the lamp. So you're dense, and that's what this whole program has been, to make us so dense that we can't light our lamp anymore.
You can't raise the chrism oil. That's why you exist. That's why you're here. I cannot stress this enough. As soon as I finish the book on the hieroglyphics of the English language, which is so important because it's giving you your freedom back by knowing each of these letters and how infinite each of these letters are, and then why there are numbers attached to the letters and why they're in the order. It's just, you have to have, but that next book that comes right after that is the chrism oil, the journey of all man, woman or man. It is the journey of all man, which is the chrism oil. Do you have oil in your lamp? If you don't, you're not alive. You're going to die. But there is no ending. There's only eternity. So around and around and around and around the wheel you will go until you get it right, up and to the right, up and to the right, which is where the chrism oil has to go. It has to illuminate the pineal gland. The pineal gland sends an electric signal via the ganglion of nerves, tiny ganglion of nerves called the stria pinealis, which is connected to the fornix, which the fornix is attached only on one side, which is the top, which is to the roof, to the velum interpositum, the roof of the third ventricle of the brain, which is known as the gray rain curtain because it's all gray and it's closed. And the fornix, which is the furnace, the crucible, rolls back, and the fire, one will come later who will give you the baptism of fire. That's Jesus Christ activating your pineal gland, instigating this miraculous process of the rock in front of the tomb rolling back, and then eternal life at the right hand side of the Father. And then that's Jehovah's Witness, who is the best man, who led the mother up the aisle. I thought churches were flat. I thought an aisle was flat, but we always say that the best, they lead the mother up the aisle. Seems to be flat to me. Up the aisle to be Jehovah's Witness, the best man. Jesus Christ is the best man, and we have to become that. You have your lesson. You have your lesson. Be it. Do it. Don't talk about it anymore. Do it. This is the work, and that's all that Remembrancer is doing for you. And Santos Bonacci and Justin and Marie and Colleen, they're all just showing you by doing it themselves the work. Whom do you want to be? Look at this call or this conference that you're a part of, this video that you're part of right now in real time. Look at her. Look at Amber. All the times that we've interacted with Amber. Look at Justin. When Marie's with us, just look at Marie. Do you not want to have that? Because that's what's right. They are what's right with this world because they're doing the work. And that's Jesus Christ. It is. That's the Bible. Of itself, the Bible, you must hallow them by breathing life upon that book. And that breathing life upon the book is doing the work. It is the ultimate scientific manual for you to become the eternal child of God at the right-hand side of the Father. It is. Do the work. Be Amber, be Justin, be Marie, be Colleen, because they're doing the work and they're what's right with this world.
Well, actually, just be you.
You'll get to you by observing what they're doing. So that, and that's great. Thank you, sweetheart. But that's what I'm saying, is that by becoming the observer, observe. And that's, again, calling out Charlie Ward, whatever. But just observe, listen and observe.
But as
okay?
you clean yourself, you will be able to see more. You'll be able to discern more. So that just happens. It just happens.
Yeah, well said. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Colleen. That was beautiful. That was perfect. Wow, breathing on the book. So beautiful. Wow. Okay, here's another question. We're jumping into sleeping practices. What are the best methods, types of mattress to use on the back, on the side, etc.? What do we got here? And this is an area that I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on. I don't have a whole lot to add.
So I had a dream when I was hanging out with Santos. He had this beautiful woman over who's a friend, and she got to sleep on the couch, and I slept on the tile floor. Santos came to me in the dream, and he said, I need to sleep on hard floor for 100 days. So I'm actually looking for a place that has a decent hard floor where I can just sleep. And the Japanese had these tatami mats that they just sleep on. They're not soft. From what I've researched, the softer your bed, the more out of place your spine becomes, because the muscles in your spine atrophy. So you may have heard that hard mattresses are good for your spine. In my experience, this is true. What I can say from my experience, going to a chiropractor, is pillows are the ow pill. They're the pill you take every night that makes you go ow, because your spine's out of alignment. It's either like crushed up or to the side, and you got to have you're holding on two pillows just to feel good. The best thing that I found is you roll up a towel about the size of your fist or whatever feels comfortable, and you just put it on the back of your neck, and you are in perfect alignment. This is how I sleep. The pillows are just for sitting on the floor, as far as I'm concerned. Just get a towel, roll it up, try it in the back of your spine, and see how that feels. For me, it's been absolutely miraculous. Really important for sleeping. Do not watch your screen at least 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed. Ideally 2 hours. And if you do, put a blue blocker on there, so you're not getting blue light that is inhibiting your melatonin secretion, which will help you go to sleep. And then sometimes you can even add a dimmer, because sometimes the absolute dimness is still pretty bright in the night. So you can take it down even further. So I'd recommend those tips for better sleep. And also try to not eat at least 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed. It's just a miracle for getting sound sleep. And if you're having trouble sleeping, I would eat a lot of walnuts, because they have tryptophan, which is a precursor to melatonin. So if you have a condition where you're not producing a lot of melatonin for whatever reason, get on those walnuts. They look like the brain for a reason. Doctrine of signatures.
Yeah, and just quickly on the blue light stuff, there's a lot of apps you can find that will automatically dim your screens as the day goes on, and it'll take out the blue light. I use an app called Flux on my PC, and then on my phone I have this app called Twilight. And both of them, as the day gets on, they start slowly just turning my screen a lot more red, which just helps, it makes it a lot softer. And then you can get glasses too that will have blue light blocking components to them. So that's why I always wear my glasses at night, just to help kind of facilitate that a little bit better. But yeah, go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, and you have to love Twilight, right? Because it's the TWI light. So the child who is the cross, the fourfold nature of man, with the balance of the union of the father in the mother, which is the W, the father, the phallic father in the vagina of the mother, the portal to illuminate the eye, the single eye, which is what an eye is. It's a single eye. And it's a pillar with an illuminated single eye above. That's the twilight. So that is child, mother, father, the twilight, and that's why you want to bask in the glow. And we were talking about sleep, And when I did my 2-hour podcast, the first hour and 30 minutes of that podcast was all about becoming the virtuous man, which is Jesus Christ. So you want to sleep and sleep well. Like Amber said, wow, stop eating food, especially any solid food, because your body has to process it, and therefore your body becomes a processing plant. So you want it to become a plant full of light, but you're not letting it. You're essentially turning it into, and especially based on what you eat, you're turning it into a concrete plant, creating, more matter in your uncles. And that's not what you want. So you want to sleep better, stop eating food at night. That's why they do what they do. That's commercials. Look at the commercials at nighttime, and it's all enticing you to quick, cheap, easy, cheating snack food. So, Doritos and what, and you're not going to sleep well. So ultimately, if you want to sleep, become virtuous. If you lead a virtuous life during the day, that means you're in the moment. You're always looking in the mirror. And a sound sleeper is someone who can look themselves in the mirror and they'll fall right asleep. A person who can't sleep is somebody who cannot see. Vampires, you cannot see yourself in the mirror. You can't see yourself in the mirror because you've lost yourself. So if you want to sleep well, virtue. And then a little hard work never hurt anyone. And I sleep like a baby, and I can sleep anywhere. And to what Remembrancer Amber is saying about the bed and stuff, he's exactly right. He's exactly right about your mattress and everything else. And so
he uses a scarf
with the roll. Well, because in the beginning it was like a towel rolled up or whatever to just go back here. But because alignment is so alive and well within me, I'm down to one of Colleen's very tiny thin scarves. So it's literally the size of this, and that's it at the back of my neck because I'm in alignment.
But remember that when you're on this new way of eating, this Garden of Eden diet, and you lose all of that tissue, your body conforms differently now, and it's more flat, right? Your body will just, and whereas before we have so many lumps and bumps that we can't get comfortable. And of course, Mexico has one of the hardest mattresses anywhere. If you go, no matter where you go, they have very, very hard mattresses. So you're in for a treat when you go anywhere in Mexico, unless you bring your own mattress.
Wow. Great stuff. Great stuff, Cole.
I just want to add a couple of things that came to mind, and one is that if you're waking up in the night between 1 to 3 a.m., that means you're having liver issues, because that's the time in your circadian rhythm. All the organs have a circadian rhythm clock, and when they go through the cleansing cycle. I'm speaking from experience. I was waking up really reliably between 1 to 3 a.m. and it's because I was having a lot of liver issues. So support the liver. If you're having that issue, and remember, you have to clean the organs in reverse order of elimination. So first you clean the GI tract, then the liver, then the blood, and then the lungs. Because when you breathe, oxygen from the lungs goes into the blood filters through the liver dumps into the GI tract. So you clean them in reverse order. Also, something that has helped me to sleep when I have problems sleeping, let's say I'm doing a parasite cleanse, take diatomaceous earth or a bentonite clay psyllium husk shake before going to bed, and just shush those creatures up for a little bit, because they'll just be so consumed by that globular mix that's cutting them or suffocating them that they'll be quiet for the night.
Great. And just another question on the topic of sleep. So do you have any suggestions on how to prevent involuntary ejaculation of the sacred semen during sleep?
Absolutely. And again, I can speak to this as well. When you have that, that spasmodic response, and that, involuntary ejaculation occurs or whatever, that's just a sign to you, and you may disagree with it, but it's the truth. And it's just, you're still carnal. You're in the carnal world. And that is a byproduct of what happens in the carnal world. So you're just not there yet. When you become righteous, that will not happen. It will not happen. It can't happen because you can't spill your seed. You can't spill your seed. So again, how you want to meditate, you have to become righteous. You want to sleep well, you have to become righteous. You want to become penitent and humble before God, you have to become righteous. And you want to have this unity consciousness between two worlds and have this incredible sacred sex, then you have to become righteous. And this is what it's such a journey for Colleen and I. And this is what I'm coming to from the masculine of the perspective, which is I think maybe the greater of the traps, with the penis versus the vagina. But I'm really getting this now that as you control the physical orgasm, the whole point is to become somewhat dismissive of it, not entirely, because it serves a purpose, it serves a role, but it's not that orgasm. And this is what I'm coming to realize now. It's this higher orgasm that occurs simultaneously. So when you're having the internal ejaculation below and you're controlling that, and it's an amazing feeling because then your energy it peaks. You continue to peak because this is building mountains. You're building a peak and a peak and a higher peak, and you're just getting higher and higher. That's why you just see these incredible the light within you. But what you realize, it's about this orgasm, and it is. And this is what I'm coming to, and the realization now is that by this really controlling your breathing, and then really this is what Santos teaches. Samuel Ayenwayor taught it as well, that this crucial process of being cognizant of the lower orgasm that is going on and controlling it, but you have to master this. So it takes time. You have to become a master, but the mastery is that you are almost involuntarily controlling the lower orgasm while your focus, your meditation is all upon this orgasm. And then when you do that, then it's just this incredible breathing up. You're pulling up the Christic energy within you, which is pure within your spine, within the ventricles of your body, the CSF, which is the Christ, sacred Christ fluid within you. And that is bringing the Christ consciousness up within you. And that's the real orgasm. This is the real golden orgasm. And then you just begin to see it. And when I was mastering the lower orgasm, I was getting from the white light to the purple and then magenta. And it's incredible, where you open your eyes and you look out and everything is magenta in color. It's the most amazing thing. But then there's more. It's like the way with God's creation. There's always more. There's always more to learn. There are always more gifts to all of this. And then, so this is what I've now awakened into, is this higher orgasm, which is occurring in here. And you're doing this by concentrating on it, and literally, as Santos literally shows, and this is the diaphragm. This is why you have to practice the Buddha breath and Buddha breathing, so you can do the sacred sex properly, because you really do. You have to really, really work it. You have to really pull. You have to really, really, really pull it up within you. And this is that osmosis. This is that osmosis. That is the miracle, going against gravity.
And I'm assuming that after you master it, it'll just be a process of you just thinking about it going up.
Yeah.
You just
Absolutely.
I wanted to just say one thing about the dark saying of what you think upon grows. So when you're focusing on virtues versus the carnal world that we come from, and all of the carnality that's there for us, tempting us every moment, the TV, it's on the radio, it's everywhere, conversations, just the way that we've been taught to look at other human beings. It's so in our subconscious mind, that in our sleep, it just comes out. But when you're focusing your energies on the virtues, and you're really working on getting rid of the ego, the 10%, and you're working on the 90%, the virtues, the beauty, the creativity, all of that, I would suggest that you probably won't be thinking about those things, and those thoughts won't grow so much. And I would assume that's what it did for me anyway. I don't know about you, but
That's beautiful. It's 100% perfect truth. How do you practice Buddha breathing, or what is the Buddha breath, or more specifically, what is this diaphragmatic breathing? It again, if you there's a podcast that I did with Mimi Gund, and Mimi's a yoga practitioner, and a real yoga practitioner, and a real teacher of light. And so Mimi and I did a podcast with her, and I don't think I have it up yet on Rumble, but I'll get it up in the next few nights, overnight, uploading it onto Rumble so that you can see it there. And we talk a lot about what this diaphragmatic breathing is and how to do it. And so again, one of the benefits of becoming the observer is that if your eyes are open, then you can see because all the clues are there for everything. So when you observe how anyone breathes, you'll notice something that's really, really startling about how our breath actually works. We think it works one way, but it actually works another way. And so all breath originally, sort of the original movement and impetus for your breath is from the diaphragm. We always think that it's here and then to our lungs that affects the diaphragm, but it's actually the diaphragm first. And if you lie down on a stationary surface that Amber was talking about, then you can literally see this as a person breathes, and you'll see the belly actually move first, then the chest, and in this remarkable process. And so that's all you have to do with Buddha breathing or diaphragmatic breathing is focus on the diaphragm first. So the diaphragm is deep, the bellows, because that's what you're a pipe organ. We go into all this stuff. You got to watch this video. It's so important because that's what we are. We're a pipe organ, and we make music through our breathing patterns. And that we make our opuses through diaphragmatic breathing. So it's a song, sing a song. Sing a song is how you breathe. And most people are just breathing their life away instead of regeneration. A Buddha breath is a regenerative breath where you'll live forever. It's expelling, it's looking in the mirror, it's being on the plane of inertia with the mother in every moment. And so that's what diaphragmatic breathing is. It's focusing as you breathe that it's coming from the belly. And so therefore it's a chamber, and it's a bellows chamber. And so with all bellows, it has to fill with air. So when you see those pictures, so many images of the Buddha is a big guy. He's got a big belly. And he's, the laughing Buddha, and you just tickle his little fat belly. And it's because Buddha loves cows and he eats them all day long. And he just cheeseburgers and French fries and onion rings. And no. Nobody tells you the truth about this, but Buddha looks that way because he's breathing diaphragmatically. And therefore your bellows open up with all of that air. And then the reason for it is then you push it out of you. You push it out of you. And that's your pipe organ. So all of that staleness, that is the lower carnal world where there's no brilliance flowing, there's no ideas coming to you. Again, why do some people like Amber just have genius just flow to them in the moment, in the second, all the time? Because they're breathing consciously. They're conscious breathers. They're alive breathers, which means that the miracle of God in every moment is alive within them. When you're a stale breather, when you're a stale breather, which is just shallow breathing,
which is what we do when we're in fear.
That's right.
Beta waves.
Yep. There's no God inside of you. God is the H. That is the letter 8, the 8th letter of the alphabet, the letter H, which is silent. You don't pronounce the H as H, H. And by the way, if you do the H, what are you doing? You're doing diaphragmatic breathing when you say H properly. But when you pronounce the H, it's H. And so, so you're not activating your bellows. But when you go H, then you're breathing in the ether, which is the breath of God within you, which fills your bellows chamber, and the godliness cleanse everything within you, and then whoosh, you push it out of you. And this is the pull and the push out of you, and then you are cleansed inside of you by God, because God is the ether, the 5 elements of this creation, the earth, then the water, and then the air in meditation, to the activation of the fornix, which is the fire, to the ether, which is heaven, which is God. Goes long, slow, focus, mentally, physically focus on your bellows. Watch your bellows, and then be proud of your Buddha belly. Show everyone, look at my Buddha belly. Look at my, that's not turning me on. You're supposed to have hard rock abs. I want to see, well, not when you're breathing, it's the Buddha belly. And that's what you do. And then just really concentrate and focus, and as you're breathing properly, look at your belly puff out with air. That's God deep within you, cleansing you. And then a long, slow release. You get a new lease on life with the Buddha breath, because it's release. The Bible is the RE book. Their world is the DE book. Their world is death, and God is rejuvenation.
Great. Do you have anything to add, Ember, before I move to the next question?
I would love to. On the tip of the breath, I would also like to say that if you want to get maximum absorption of oxygen into your lungs, you go like this. This takes pressure off the lungs and allows them to expand fully. This is why this position is the algae's rune for protection. If you look at the peace sign, did you ever want a piece, or did you want the whole thing? You wanted the wholeness. You wanted to make the W. The algae's is the peace sign reverted. The peace sign is an inversion of protection, which means it's vulnerability. So you are being attacked by looking at that vibration. If you ever see one, just play with alchemy and flip it 180. And so doing these deep breath holds when your lungs are maximally expanded. This is why when we're exuberated, we go, yeah, yeah! Because we're just pushing a bunch, like Charlie said, we're like a bellows, we're singing, we're toning. The organs of your body are like a pipe organ that tone the song you are, which you can sometimes hear as tinnitus or a ringing in the ear. You are not the name, you are a song that never gets repeated in the universal symphony. That's how unique you are. And that's why we're so attracted to music. That's why there's so much truth embedded in music. Music is because, as far as what I've seen, that's the closest art form to what we truly are, is the music. And then going back to this original question of the nocturnal ejaculation, which some people would say that is a succubus or an incubus if you're a female. I'd wager, if I were a wagering man, which I'm not, but if I was, I would say that you probably overeat, and that puts pressure on your prostate, which will make you pop, because you can't hold that bandha, that root chakra tight, to keep that energy from just blasting down, because that energy blasts down, it goes through your feet, goes through the sole of your foot, which is why it's called the soul, because your soul energy goes down that part when you have an earth element orgasm. But there's an orgasm for every element. And so it's also, what element are you resonating with? Are you up in the waters? Are you in the fire, the air, the sound, the thought, the light? What are you feeding off of? I'd really recommend, I'll probably add it to the page after this is done, but the work of Montauk Chia teaches men how to strengthen the perineum, which is the muscle you use to stop urinating. And you basically lock that in to separate ejaculation from orgasm, because those are not the same thing. If you're a man, and when you were first experimenting with your sexuality, you may have not had anything come out your first time orgasming. Think back, you're like, oh, that's true. And you were trained to think, oh, I'm doing it wrong. It needs to come out. Like, that's how it's done, right? Wrong. You were perfect. You were doing it perfectly. Like so many things in this life. And so really, I'd say that the two strongest defenses against nocturnal emission is don't overeat, don't pressure your prostate, and learn to master this ascension process of the chrism, which you can also do in your sexual practice of Tantra and Kundalini, and allow that oil to fill here so that Christ and Mary can lay down together in the Garden of Gethsemane, which the etymology means wine. It means oil press. It means oil press. Christ means anointed with oil. Mary is magnetism. What more do you need to know? Golgotha up here. It's so clear. So yeah, your best practice is to don't overeat, master your sexuality, and incorporate a relationship with these other finer levels of prana, so you're not having this earth-shaking, uncontrollable earthquake orgasm. You can move into the finer, more refined expressions of your sexuality.
Well said. Thanks for that. So moving on, I've had a couple questions about teeth health and dentistry, and just in general thoughts around that realm of our mouth. So for us to expand on that topic, should we be seeing dentists at all?
No. And you don't go see doctors. Don't go see doctors either. I mean, the whole goal of this is that you become all of those things for yourself. But in the meantime, there are practitioners of the mother, and they can help you along the way. So that's why, like, these ascended Reiki masters, people have no idea, and I think a lot of Reiki masters have no idea about how much power they truly, and goodly godly power they truly possess through these teachings, because they're taught to disassociate from the mental aspect of it and just focus sort of physically, which is ridiculous, because of course the entire process is a metaphysical process. It's an energetical process, but they're taught to deny the energy transfer or transmutation within them from up here. But the real ascended ones do. They absolutely know. And oh my gosh, the fire that they can create, or the ice of the magnetic mother that they can create is miraculous. So there are transitional masters that can help you with all of these things. But you know, again, if Justin is up for it, and if Amber wants to be part of that as well, that would be amazing. But you know, you have to become your own dentist, and that's just doing the work. So once you start doing the work, that is your dentistry, because again, your teeth are designed to last for, oh my goodness, a minimum of 1,000 years when you're created. But it just asks for one thing, which is alkalinity. If your teeth are alkaline, they'll be there for you. And miracles with your teeth have been proven again and again. Just start checking out YouTube with some of the most incredible things that people put out there in terms of what's happened with regard to their teeth. So because everything is energy. So you get on the right side of this and miracles can happen with regard to everything. So dentist, stop going to a dentist immediately. And your best friend is alkalinity in virtually everything you do. And again, I cannot stress this enough. For the greatest health with your teeth would be this oil pulling, which is really powerful. Colleen uses clove oil and organic hand pressed coconut oil. So it's never been heated, which is cold press, hand press, cold press. It's incredible, and it just heals your mouth, including your teeth. But there's nothing better than your urine. But you like Amber said, but you can't put shit urine into your mouth and expect it to do anything except advance the cesspool. Washington D.C. or Rome or the financial district of London within you. You have to exorcise those things from you, and then you become your own best friend. And there's no better friend that you have than the Garden of Eden within you. And one of those rivers is your golden urine, which again is Christ consciousness within you. And so Christ is, how do you know a real king, the king, Jesus Christ? How do you know? Because he has the hands of the healer. Everything about Christ is healing. So apply the urine to everything, including this ultimate oil pulling, which is through the urine as well. But that's how you take care of your teeth. And floss has its place. If something gets stuck between your teeth, you do need to get that organic matter out. So carefully, gently, you can do that. If oil pulling doesn't do it, most oil pulling will get virtually anything out. But if you do need, that's when you use your floss. Don't use it any other time. The floss they gift you to hang yourself. That's what floss is for, and it's little container. So it's there that you can hang yourself, hang you and your teeth, and you're pulling your teeth with the floss because you're telling your gums to run away and hide, bleed, be in fear, be in pain, run away and hide. And we buy all of this crap. So you want to become the dentist for you, and you want to take care of your teeth, become alkaline. Get Jesus Christ inside of you, and you'll have gorgeous, beautiful teeth. And no matter what state they're in now, they'll heal. Just, there are thousands of videos on YouTube that talk about this miraculous process of cavities going away and even broken teeth growing back. Just go and observe for yourself. It's all there. Back over you guys.
Yeah, and just to quickly add on to one thing that you probably should go see a dentist if you do have mercury amalgam fillings. Go get those removed and replaced as soon as you possibly can. That mercury fillings that you have in your mouth are going to be constantly leaching and toxifying your body and your brain. So if you can find a dentist that's in the US, that it's a SMART certified, SMART, which is safe mercury amalgam removal technique. If you can find a dentist that's certified in this way to get rid of these poisonous leaching things, get them out as quickly as possible. That would probably be the last thing that I would say to do with a conventional dentist. But get those out of your head for sure. And then the rest is all about alkalinity, and your body will truly heal everything. We just have to truly lean into that. And, a lot of us have been, we've been bombarded with this toxic world for a long time. So it takes a long time, and it can take a lot of work, but it is all very, very possible. You just have to truly lean into it fully. So over to you, Amber.
When it comes to allopathic medicine, it's like allopathic medicine, they're good at surgery. They're good at cutting things and sewing people back together in emergency situations. So if it is an emergency, I would recommend seeing a holistic dentist. Use it as an excuse. Come down to Mexico. There's a great one in Cancun that's still operational. from my research, the one in Tijuana is shut down. So look for a holistic dentist if you're going to go down that route. In addition, no matter what condition you're in, if this is a concern, look at the meridian. Each tooth can be traced to a certain organ. So you can actually, the reason it's there is your body's telling you, hey, your liver is about to go kaput. I'm going to give you some pain so you figure this out, because if your liver goes, that's going to be way, way worse than your tooth just going. And this can be the problem of just removing things, is that it's actually an intelligent response from the body. It's telling you to do something. So look up teeth meridian chart, and you'll find beautiful free images that will basically say what tooth is associated with what part of your body, what organ. And you can work from the root of the condition instead of, the symptom of it.
Yeah, and to that end, back in the days when I was free on Facebook, I actually created one of my many memes was on the electrical meridians and how they all go through every single one of your teeth, and they're all related to all a different organ within your body. And then each tooth, you're supposed to know this, and there's a chart that you can refer to in the meantime. And then every time you're having a specific feeling or problem, it relates to this essentially this energy meridian within your body, and that relates to an organ. So like Amber is saying, it's like, pay me now or you won't be able to afford to pay me later, and we just take. So yeah, it's God has all of this. We are master creations. It's like with the show today, we could take another turn and just go down the circadian rhythms, because there's a circadian rhythm for virtually everything. There's a circadian rhythm for your born day. You absolutely, God knows, and everything within you knows your born day, and it's a very special day. It's a day where you're gifted this opportunity to get back to the womb, and you can have a womb-like experience through the circadian rhythm that is released within you on your born day. But that's dielectricity. That's, if you want to connect to back to the womb and the secretity of the father and the mother, then it's syncretism and it's dielectricity. You have to be still and you have to be silent. So look at what the conventional birthday party for a child is. There's no candlestick maker there. There's a butcher and there's a baker at the birthday party. And then they like to play games like exclusion games, like musical chairs. And every time the music stops, another chair is taken away. And then there's fewer and fewer and fewer chairs. It's like the game Monopoly. You're just playing Monopoly. So everything about and then it's receiving presents. But how are you supposed to receive presents if you don't give? You can't receive presents if you don't give. And so some worthless, ridiculous material playing present is not what this is about. Presents is the here and the now. It's life. It's everything. And you are, with your circadian rhythm on your born day, you are so in tune with this. So on your born day, it's so important for you to give, or to spend your life giving, and then you receive this ultimate gift, which is presence, which is eternal life. Presence is eternal life. So what do we do with our kids on birthdays, and what do we turn them into? Little carnal monsters. Oh, no, not even the right color. I wanted that one. I don't want that one. And it's just the opposite. And it's screaming and yelling, and it's singing songs out there and stuff. It's supposed to be stillness and silence. It's a gift to go back into the womb, into this Garden of Eden within the womb of the mother, and connect back with the mother and the father. And you do that through stillness and silence. And the only way to receive that gift is to be a giver. You have to be a creditor. You cannot be a debtor in this world. You have to be a creditor. So I hope that helps, but yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So we've come up on 2 hours. I want to be respectful to y'all's time. Do we want to keep going, or do we want to kind of go ahead and wrap up?
I'd love to keep going.
We have, yeah, and I think we can as well. I just have to, someone has come to visit at an appointed time. So I'm going to just spend a few minutes with them, and Colleen will be here, and I'll be back in a little bit. But yeah, to continue with that would be fantastic.
Okay, great.
Yep.
We'll keep
And
it
remember,
going.
just before I go, remember that I've shared this with Justin as well. But you know, Amber was just talking about, and it's just what we naturally do. It's what we naturally do when we get passionate and excited. We do the why. We do the why pose. Yes, why for yes. And see, that's Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ started out as this. He started out as the C, which is the 3, which is the child. And he is an empty cup facing to the east because he has no oil in his lamp. He has no light in his cup. And the whole goal of Jesus Christ is from the C to the Y. And that's the why, because that cup filleth over with the life and the presence of God.
And just think of the words that start with CY.
Yep, like
Kymatics.
cymatics or kymatica, which is this dance, the eternal dance of matter formulation when you recognize that you are energy, and it forms to the most beautiful patterns when you are beautiful.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, I remember playing sports in high school and stuff like that. They would always say that if you were having trouble catching your breath, to just raise your arms above your head, because that's how we can truly bring that breath in and let it fill us. So yeah, perfectly said. So we'll move on to another question. So this is from Alex, and we've kind of touched a little bit on it, but I'll just read it as it's written. So on the subject of becoming alkaline, but in the same time decalcifying the pineal, please talk a little bit about that. Just eating raw fruit and juice, or working with green salads and green juice? And how about pH balancing powders, the ones you mix in water and drink first thing in the morning? Example, inorganic mineral powder, something which says it doesn't force itself on the body, but rather the body assimilates its natural needs for the moment. So just quickly on that, you know, there's no really good inorganic mineral that we can intake if it's not organic, if it's not coming from a fruit or vegetable or an herb, you know, it's not really going to be absorbed in our body whatsoever. And these gimmicks of like trying to alkalize the body through powders or drinking alkaline water or things like that, like it's not really looking at how alkalinity forms in our body. Like alkalinity is just the result of the ease of the things that we consume. So you take lemon juice, for example, which is extremely acidic. When we drink lemon juice, our body becomes alkaline because it's a fruit juice. It's got that glucose, and so there's so much ease to it that when we intake into our body, it doesn't have to churn and burn and go into that electrical state, which that's what produces the acidity. It makes our body alkaline. So it's not necessarily intaking things that are alkaline in nature. It's intaking things that are easy for our body to process, which ultimately the highest form of food is fruit, and fruit juice being the easiest form of that, because we even take the digestive portion out of that consumption, and we make that even more easy for our body. So really just finding ways to get the body in as much ease as possible. That's the alkaline state. That's the truly magnetic portion. That's so beneficial to stay into. So I would avoid any sort of supplements, inorganic supplements. You know, if you need them for a potential issue in the moment, you know, like you can look at that. But as Amber said earlier, like you need to really address the root cause of the issue, and juice feasting is hands down the best way to address any problem, heal any ailment, whatever you're dealing with, like, is the way to go. It's the way to just neutralize and get back to square one. So yeah, that's my thoughts on there. Colleen, you got anything?
I agree with you completely about putting supplements and inorganic things into your body. It's just a buildup. It's a money grab, and it's also just a way for them to toxify you even more. And they have to hit the group of people that are trying to raise themselves up. So they've done it so cleverly. And throughout the years, the way that they've gone about from the pharmaceutical industry, and then they hit the whole health food industry. Wow. It's just, at this point, you can walk into a health food store and there aren't very many things that will bring you to health at all. So they're just very clever at how they've taken all of that and turned it into something that will just toxify your body. So you can spend hundreds of dollars every month on supplements, and it's just toxifying you. It's just, your body's just becoming more clogged. But I'm sure Amber will be, once he's finished munching whatever it is he's eating, looks good, be able to speak on that a little bit.
Coconut is so good. Yeah, like I said earlier, if you're eating supplements, it's symptomatic that something is missing in your diet. And I would, if I was a wagering man, I would say that most people here are still eating salt. And salt is a big no-no. Any form. I don't care if it's pink Himalayan salt blessed by the Virgin Mary herself. You do not need that. What you need is cell salts. And what you need even more than that really is seaweed. When you first come to shore, what's the first food you come across? Seaweed, and then coconuts. Those are both staples for me, non-negotiable. Seaweed has B12. So nori wraps, dulse flakes, you can use dulse flakes and get that salty satisfaction if you choose to. I love it. I love dulse flakes. I love wakame. I love all the kinds of seaweed. Just make sure it's coming from a good source. From my research, Iceland and Maine are really good. Iceland and Maine sourcing are really good. Sometimes China waters are kind of dirty. So if it's coming from China, just do your research on that. And then I was making food for Marie, and she was like, "Did you put salt in this?" I was like, "No, but I balanced the cell salts." Because each food has one of the 12 cell salts, which feed one of the 12 cranial nerves, which correspond to one zodiac sign, which means that your 9 months in the moon make you naturally deficient or yearning for 3 cell salts that were outside of the time that you were incubating. So look at when you were born and look at the cell salt association, and you might realize, oh, that's why I crave coconuts. It's because I wasn't around when Capricorn was there, because Capricorn is the bones. That's Saturn. So look at the cell salts. Cell salts, you can also use that for symptoms. If you're having a certain ailment or dis-ease, see the cell salt association. And it's really great in cooking to use a lot of lime juice. And when you mix the herbs and spices just right, it's like it is salted. And it just means that you have spiced in a way that is balanced, where each cell salt is getting its natural expression. And sodium chloride is one of those cell salts. But you really get that from celery. Celery is a great thing. And don't beat yourself up if you're going to put some salt on your food tonight. Transition, do the research, prove it to yourself. I tell you, it's like a full-time job staying hydrated. And so I just don't have any use for something that's going to dehydrate me. So really, really encourage people to look up seaweed. It stays forever. Like, if you store it right, it can stay for, over a year probably. You can make raw wraps with it. It's really great in salads. Use the dulse flakes and just treat it like you would salt. You can make like a tahini dressing and it starts to look like ranch, which was my favorite dressing when I used to eat that. I can make stuff that tastes like ranch dressing right now. and it's amazing. So yeah, if you're eating powders, if you're into like Purium and stuff like that, and like you're stoked on these 40-day, quick cleanses, hey, it's great. It's a transition. If you're coming from eating, meat and going to that, great job. But just realize that's not a place you stop. You really want to work, like, what is the ideal for my temple? Work backwards and set a compassionate timeline for your own unique transition.
Quick question, Amber. So a lot of times people will have craving for salty foods, or they'll have craving for sweet food. If you're craving salty foods, would you suggest that maybe your body's just looking for the cell salts versus the Himalayan salt that we're all told we should?
That's exactly right, Colleen. Yeah, that means you're craving sodium chloride, which means that celery juice could be a great thing. And if you want to make dehydrated crackers from the celery pulp, you'll see if you make the crackers thin enough, little cubes of salt will rise to the top and be like, tarnations, I didn't put salt in that, but there was salt in the celery, and it's cubic, just like sodium chloride. I mean, all salts might actually be cubic. I'm not sure about that, but certainly that your taste is intelligent. Your body is speaking volumes of wisdom to you, and we are just now learning, how do I listen to what my nails are saying about me, what my hands, what my eyes, what the bags under my eyes, which represent the kidneys. If you have bags under your eyes, that probably means you're addicted to coffee, you're not getting a lot of sleep, and your adrenals are being abused, and your kidneys are not filtering, so you got bags. So if you want to get rid of those bags, don't put the makeup on. That makeup's gonna go into the blood, and it's gonna clog the kidneys even more. That's how diabolical this attack against women is. This makeup is made up. It's fiction. It is not for you. It is just gonna do exactly what you don't want it to do, which it'll make the bags even worse. So yeah, ultimately listen to your taste and see if you can find patterns in the cell-salt relationship to maybe your organ weaknesses, or the 3 months that you were not in the womb that you have a natural yearning for.
That's very
Great.
interesting. Thanks for sharing. Go ahead, Justin.
That was pretty much it. I was gonna, yeah, I mean, did you have anything more to add to that, Colleen? I was gonna move on. Okay, great. So we had one question in the chat about from Garrett. He said, "Do plant-based protein powders such as Garden of Life benefit us in a transition into a fruitarian lifestyle?" So I would just quickly say, not really. I mean, when we get into this powdered form, it's been processed so much that it's had most of the life-giving properties taken out of it. And they're quite expensive in that sort of sense. So I would say no. I mean, there's nothing better than just going straight into eating straight from the earth, going with the mother. And if you're transitioning, then just work more and more of those types of raw foods into your diet. The powders, not so much. I used to use them a lot, but I'd never really felt any different when I did them. So it was just kind of a money sink. But that was my take. Amber, what you got?
I would say that, it's okay for a transition, but it's really not giving your body what it wants at all. It might help, if you're coming from meat or dairy, it might just be something to kind of like wade through the cravings, like, oh, I don't have the energy. I'm just going to pour, shake, consume, done. This whole vegan thing is so time consuming. No, it is not. No, it is not. Opening up a watermelon is about the easiest thing in the world. It's about the easiest thing in the world. And it is cooked. It's cooked by the sun. It's lovingly baked for 3 months just for your momentary cosmic pleasure. It is a freaking gift from the cosmos. So just cherish that. And then I'd also encourage people to look up because I'm guessing, I don't know if this person's interested in building muscle with protein, or if they're just on like the, well, my mom said I got to get my protein. The protein theory, I don't even think it's over 150 years old. It was injected into the consciousness in the late 19th century. You can read about this in the magnificent singular work called the Mucusless Diet Healing System, which there's a free PDF of that book in the page that is linked at the top of these show notes. So keep that, treat yourself to that. This is the man, Arnold Ehret invented the term. He coined the phrase intermittent fasting. Everyone is saying intermittent fasting. No one knows that it comes from this genius, Professor Arnold Ehret. Such a beautiful man. Yeah, so awesome. I mean, just reading him makes you think clearer. His pristine distilled rationality just makes you open your eyes to your inner child knowing, because the truth is simple enough for a child to understand. And what he draws out is that this whole protein, give me my protein, it's a distraction from the way our body actually works, which is it uses amino acids to build its own protein. If you take the protein from anything, let's say a delicious walnut, it's going to break that protein down into the building blocks of amino acids and then use those to build. What is the highest thing in amino acids? Fruits. Take out the middleman. The powder is a middleman. The protein myth is a middleman. Get back to the origin. Look at Arnold Ehret, and you're going to laugh your way into some blissful realizations.
I love that. Take out the middleman. And Trump is all about taking out the middleman right now. So that's awesome. It's a great theme. And it's really important that we do that. Take out the middleman. And that's body and mind. So that's beautiful. And Arnold Ehret, wow. And he went on a juice fast for 2 years, was it not, with navel oranges? And I love his experiment because he's a real scientist and a doctor, and he's just an alchemist, and he's amazing. But he would cut himself when he was on a normal diet, and just the symptoms and everything that would happen, and the bleeding. And then after 2 years of being on juice, and he would cut himself, and how it would heal so quickly, and there was like no blood, and you're just like, what? Like, that's just crazy. But I remember when I was on my urine fast, and I was probably at my ultimate health that I have been in my whole life. And I would get an injury or something, and it would heal so quickly. Everything was just accelerated. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. So being on navel oranges for 2 years only, and then doing all of that, wow. So people can say, well, I did it for 6 months and it just wasn't for me or whatever. I don't know what that means. I don't know what state of health you came from. And, you can't really just, he obviously did some incredible investigations, but his books are incredible. You really, really have to read them. The research is incredible.
Great. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so we've got another question from Erica. Please speak on the topic of menstruation and fasting. Is it healthy or detrimental to fast during menstruation? What are the effects and or consequences? Many things. And this is not something I have experience with, obviously, so I'll pass it along.
I go right through all of those things. I've had some issues with menstruation. So the thing for me is, having changed my diet from what you would consider vegan to more fruitarian and just more orange juice, just more fruit. Everything that I've ever experienced that wasn't operating properly is coming into alignment. My whole body is taking a while, but my whole body, and through the menstruation and everything, is just kind of aligning more than it ever has before. So there's even, well, I mean, it's hard to speak because I'm a certain age at this point, and I don't know, people are saying, well, you should be going through your change of life, and I'm not, but I don't even know what that feels like, right? Everyone has a different experience through that, but I don't change anything for the period or the menstruation at all. I just go right through. If you're going to do a 100-day cleanse or a 100-day juice feast, you're going to go right through those menstruations. And actually, it's just all good because it's cleaning your body. It can't hurt you. It just can't hurt you at all. That's just my experience. So I don't know, Amber, if you have any.
The only thing I want to say is, and I don't know if this is true, and I'm definitely not a woman, but I have met women who, on this path of healing, and especially with the raw diet, they've stopped having their period. And what they told me was that the reason women are so beautiful and live longer than men is this period gives them this natural detoxifying process, naturally. And so they get these things out, and that's why they go through that emotion at that time, is because it's sympathetic with what is leaving the body. So that whatever emotion you're seeing, you can draw a correlation to the elements that are being discharged that are not for the vessel. And so there are women who have experienced, they stop having their period and they're like, is something wrong? And then they get into this gnosis of, I have cleansed, I am clean, I no longer need this. And if I do need it, it's available. So for whatever that's worth, that's what some women have told me.
It actually is a wonderful cleansing, purification that we experience during that time. And there's just different understandings out there about the whole process. But I would suggest that your body is so miraculous. Your body is so miraculous that when you're not needing to get pregnant and have a baby, your body doesn't have to make that extra blood. And I'm going to have to mute for it.
That's all right. Yeah, so basically saying we can sort of balance out and then our body's more in tune with where we are. And so we're not having to expend extra energy for processes that might not need to happen. I believe that's what you were saying. Yeah, great. So we got another question from Stacy. What can we eat to help with energy? I'm diabetic and have been drinking lots of orange juice, working really hard to get rid of the rest, just don't have a lot of energy. So just quickly to touch on that, it really depends on where you're coming from and how long you've been doing it and what you're eating otherwise. Like there's a lot of factors that go into this, but it does take a stabilization period. I mean, there is a time period where, if you're transitioning from one to another, your body is adjusting. Your body's, you're having to deal with different levels of parasites or no parasites to help you digest your food. And so that can have a large effect on your energy and how things are being processed. So again, going back to juice feasting, that's going to be the fastest way to transition out of any lifestyle. It can be uncomfortable. There are aspects to it that are uncomfortable when we do a longer juice fast. But this is going to be the quickest way to come to that 0 point and get to that neutral stance. So yeah, that's what I'd say on that. It's just going to take some time.
I was a bit distracted from the question because I read Susan Amos enter period equals stop, which makes me think like when the period stops, that's the end of your sentence. So the period could be the sentencing of cleansing yourself. And when that cleansing is done, the period is pointed and it ends the sentence. But I'm gathering that there's a question of how to get more energy. And what I have personally experienced is if you've never done colonic hydrotherapy, do it. Top 3 things that colonic hydrotherapy does: your skin is clearer, you have more energy, and you get better sleep. And so like Justin was saying, doing this juice feast, that gets to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is you have these hosts of parasites that are taking energy away from you because you've been programmed to feed them things that they want that are not for you. And then you end up eating their poop. and absorbing that, and then that gets clogged up in the system, and it's just a furious fiesta in the gut. So really would recommend doing everything you can to clean out the gut. But then again, this could also be adrenal fatigue, very, very common with people. So I would look to the kidneys, watch the video in the top link to see how to see if your kidneys are filtering and how to get them filtering. And so going at both the kidneys and the GI, you're gonna fly.
That's really yeah, they were talking about having diabetes, right, Justin? But speaking about the parasites and how your body's actually, they're saving you when you have all of that crap inside of you and they're eating what you shouldn't be eating. What happens then, Remembrancer, after you're cleansed or you're fairly cleansed? When you still have those parasites, what would you suggest the protocol to get rid of them? Because there's different types of parasites that can be throughout the body. Everybody has them.
I'm so glad you asked me that, because that inspired what I really wanted to start this conversation out with, which is iridology. This journey, you need a map to see where you're going, and you're going inside. So you need a map of your insides. Luckily, God gave you two maps, one for the left and one for the right. Go to an iridologist. I cannot tell you how valuable this is, because you can not only see if you have parasites, but where they are. And based on where they are, you can use a process of elimination to see what species you're dealing with. Now, for me, what got a parasite out of my body was something that's also linked in the page that I made, which is the Blessed Herbs colon detox kit. And it has the kit there with the ingredients, so you can make it yourself if you don't want to buy the kit. You just need bentonite clay and psyllium husk. And basically, it will have you lead into 10 days by eating a little bit less to let your stomach shrink. And then I did 10 days, 5 times a day, apple juice with a bentonite clay psyllium husk mixture, roughly a teaspoon each. And on day 9, I got out a 10-inch, thick as my middle finger, corrugated ringworm nematode in a bowel movement. And afterwards, I felt like I was having an endogenous, which means naturally produced by the body, an endogenous tryptamine experience, which is our birthright, to have that experience as the high priest and a high priestess to resonate with the Most High that is in you. You're now in your temple. You've now risen to the temple. So really recommend bentonite clay, psyllium husk, diatomaceous earth. And the good news is they're dirt cheap, because they're pretty much dirt. You know, the bentonite is a clay. The diatomaceous earth are these diatoms of you can find in seabeds. So you know, huge deposits, really cheap. And then you do not make the mistake that I did. Once you see the parasites get out, that's how you know you're halfway there. Because before that parasite passed, they laid more eggs than I even want to say into your body. That is their defense. When they sense they're gonna die, they have sex, sometimes with themselves, usually with themselves, and then they lay a whole clutch of eggs, so that you do what I did, and you will not do this. But what I did was I didn't take the clove oil or the clove tea, or however you want to get clove into your body as a pill. Clove kills eggs. The wormwood and black walnut hull, again, blessed walnuts, that black walnut hull and the wormwood will kill the parasites themselves. So will papaya seeds. So will properly steam distilled pure pine essential oil known as turpentine, not what you use to remove paint. I'm talking about pure distilled turpentine, That will also do the trick. There's many ways to kill parasites. So after you've done the work of getting the serpent out of your belly, which is the mucoid plaque and the impacted fecal matter in the digestive tract, if you look in, I have a video. If you really want to, like, you know, get yourself motivated, watch the video on parasites. Look at how they look like spaghetti. Do you think there's a reason we're eating so much spaghetti? It's literally like a pile of worms. And why this is so healing and necessary is you realize they know not what they do, because they have so degraded themselves through rituals. They have so made their aura porous that they're hosting more parasites than you could imagine, and they're completely in their brain. This is why these people are so reptilian. It's not because they're shape-shifting reptiles. It's because they're locked in the R complex of their brainstem, which is where the brain starts. So the parasites feed off of, you know, prediction, being able to predict your triggers. And you can easily see as you go on this journey, the system we are quote unquote reacting against, which we've all contributed to in one way or another, and we're disentangling ourselves and returning to the origin. This whole system is about feeding parasites. That's what it's all about. Because once you've made a fisher of man, when you become a fisher of men in the fisherman sign of Pisces, in that fissure, that crack, a parasite can be a radio antenna for a demonic frequency. So, for the person who's having nocturnal emission, there might be a parasite near your genitals that's putting pressure, and knows, oh yeah, if I get this food and I like pop my belly over here, this guy goes down in energy, and that means more for me. It could be that simple. And they are communicating with your brain. This is a very, very, very subtle art of war. And you go into this with a mindset of a master general, setting up your army to go against this foe that we invited in, but no longer serves what we know our essence is.
Great. Well said. Thank you. So we had a bunch of questions earlier about bananas and what we thought of them. Personally, I eat a lot of bananas, but I'd love to know y'all's thoughts. I've always been, it did come to my mind the other day how cheap bananas are, and I'm always very suspicious when things are inexpensive. So, would love to know y'all's thoughts on bananas.
Go ahead, Remembrancer. I love bananas because it's more dense, I guess, and when I'm hungry, it just fills me up quicker. But I would love to hear what you have to say about it.
With pleasure. So we're talking about a starch, and when you look in iridology, you'll see in most people they have a black ring around their eye. That is uric acid, which is a byproduct of eating animals. Now, it also may be a byproduct of eating coconut and avocado, which I'm pretty addicted to. So I'm looking into that because Professor Arnold Ehret did talk about that, but transition. The other acid in the body is carbonic acid, which we'll see is kind of white striations in people. And carbonic acid is a byproduct of eating starch. And there is a really... It's not graphic, but it's kind of gross when you think about it. There's a video that no one has seen that I just posted last night. When I was in Nicaragua, I was doing sunbathing, and I grow out my nails so that I can gently trace my skin and get out the uric acid and then the carbonic acid, because the carbonic acid from things like banana or very starchy foods, whatever starch it is, it will convert into carbonic acid. They deposit in the bottom of the feet and the top of the head. I don't know why. But I've literally gotten balls out, big balls of this uric acid, and it's still coming out of my head and skin. You would not believe the stuff that has come out of my skin in the last 2 years. And the iridologist told me, he said, yeah, if you went to a sauna, which is also really good for the kidneys, if you can do like an infrared sauna, do it every day. He said, you need to do a sauna every day. You need to eat like God and work out like Jesus. And then maybe in 2 years, you're going to get all that acid out of your body. And two years later, it's still coming out like the Dickens. It's real intense. I'll make a better video explaining like what you're looking at, but you can see in relationship to a guitar pick how much stuff is coming out of the body. And if you look into the work of Arnold Ehret, I'd really look at him to see his rationality of why starches are not necessarily a great food, but they are good in a transition. And things like the sweet potato, they're a good friend. And in the transition, and even because Arnold Ehret did not really believe in the raw foods diet. He's a big proponent of like sweet potatoes. And I don't know if he was not a proponent of the raw food diet, because if you look at how many times his books have been republished, it's almost impossible. It's virtually impossible to find a first edition Professor Arnold Ehret book. And, I don't think it's any mystery why. I think that, my heart of hearts wants to think that, Ehret loved the raw, and that was just kind of, smudged because of how important it is. But bottom line, my bottom's on bananas. I'm not attracted to starches. I don't know if it's just because it's not what my body is running off of right now or why. But yeah, I don't eat bananas, but I also don't hold any grievances against them.
Great. Good to know. Thanks for that. Okay, so we've had a bunch of questions around dogs and pets and dog food and how to work on their health. I have one from Julia, and she says she's got a senior bulldog with staph and yeast infections. We confirmed through blood work that she is healthy. What's a great example of homemade as hypoallergenic as possible dog diet, which can nip out the yeast? Also, is there anything else I can do? So, Colleen, I know you'll have lots of experience with dogs. Do you have any recommendations for Julia?
Well, I'm not a veterinarian or a doctor, but just through experience of just rescuing animals, and we used to feed all of our dogs the kibble, and I can't even imagine what they do to the kibble when they're making it, but it's a dried food and it lasts for months. So it can't be good. And not to mention they use the animals that have been all toxified to make this. So we experienced so much illness with all of our pets, all of our animals. They had a lot of mucus, they had a lot of infections, and they had a lot of diseases. Of course, when they came to us, I don't know what they were eating. So they were just usually in really poor states of health. So when and it was actually Charlie that I wasn't sure about making a vegan diet for the dogs, or vegetarian to begin with, because I just wasn't sure that it was healthy for them. So we did some research, and Charlie was really pushing it, and I just said, okay, well, let's try it. We really care about our pets, our animals, so let's just see what this does, because we were having a lot of issues, and the veterinarians weren't helping at all because of the injections and everything. It just seemed like they were going downhill. So we went the whole food way, and wow, what an incredible experience it's been. I can't say that our food is the best. We did the best we could in the beginning with the information we had and with the resources that we have here where we are in Mexico. So I'm not going to say that this is the perfect diet for them at all, but this is what we have learned from what we feed them. So and we could probably just go on fruits and vegetables themselves versus putting in the rice. So we started with a rice and lentil base, and putting in sweet potatoes, putting in avocados, bananas, and fruits. We would, when we juice, we would put all the pulp in their food, so they would get all of that. And any of the extra ripe fruits that gets put into their food. We were putting in apple cider vinegar for a while. So there's just so many different, people are saying that apple cider vinegar isn't good for you and things like that. So I don't know, but that's just what we were doing in the beginning. I don't put the apple cider vinegar in so much anymore, but I would imagine that if we didn't have 23 dogs and we just had one or two, feeding them a raw a raw diet of fruits and vegetables would be so much easier. It's just, it would consume our entire day to just make fruits and vegetables for the 23 dogs that we have here. So I would encourage, and I know that there are some videos out there about people who do just feed completely fruits and vegetables, mostly fruits, and their dogs, from what we've learned about our dogs, is that when we started feeding the holistic diet that we're feeding now, they have way less mucus. They have way less infections. They're just so much healthier. Their eyes are brighter, their skin is brighter, and they don't have as many illnesses. Or we also don't do shots. So we don't do the vaccinations. We don't do things like that. So we have to fight things off naturally. So here in Mexico, there's a lot of different infections that they can get. Parvovirus, you're almost guaranteed at some point that they're going to get that. So just keeping their immune system really high is important. So we found that happens less when we feed not kibble, not the death kibble is what we call it. But when we have to transition a dog that's been on kibble, we have kibble here, because it's really hard for them. Sometimes they won't eat anything but kibble or fresh meat. So it's challenging, but I hope that helps. I will make a recipe that we use, but do your own research, and just, and also you have to experiment with your types of dogs. Some dogs just won't eat certain things. So you have to be experimental in that as well. Remembrancer, do you have anything else?
Well, just to echo what you said, Colleen, I mean, if you have, one or two dogs, this is a lot easier to experiment with, and just really rely on their own intelligence. Like, give them things, give them raw foods and see if they eat it. Like I love, anytime I'm chopping up anything, I always offer a piece to my dog and see if she'll take it. And if she takes it, then I'll feed her more of that later on. But just getting, they know what they need, they know what they want. And like Colleen said, sometimes you do have to transition if they're used to that kibble. Like, it's the same that we go through when we eat junk food. We get these cravings because we're accustomed to eating this garbage, and so it's harder to transition off of it. We still have those cravings and it's the same way with them. If they're accustomed to the junk food, it's designed that way to make them addicted to it. So you do have to transition off of it. But yeah, just really listening to your dog and feeding them exactly what they need, and they'll tell you what they want. So yeah, just experimenting, the same as you do for yourself. Just experiment and see what works and what doesn't. Yeah, so that's that one. And then I had another question on, so Jan said she's been diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. Will this raw diet heal that? And I don't have any direct experience with that disease, but I will just echo that everything can be healed with this way. Everything can be healed with the mother. Everything can be healed with relying on the mother for all of your sustenance. So short answer, yes, but I don't have any experience nor know what that would look like. So I can't speak much more to that.
Okay. Wow, this really opens up my heart. If you look at the history of Lyme disease, it's quite dubious. It looks that it's potentially a weaponized introduction into the population off of an island on the east coast of the United States. I'm really excited about this question because my recent video I just posted was an edit of Santo Bonacci's explorations that are just absolutely exceptionally a must-see. This is a modern-day Tesla genius that he is with right now in Puerto Morelos, who is combining the work of Tesla, Darsenball, and Odin, and he's curing people's Lyme disease. He's curing people's cancer. And guess what? He's doing it for free. That's how you know it's legit. Get in contact with me. My email is at the very bottom of that page. Ask Amber at protonmail.com. I'm actually working on conveying some people up there personally to allow them to experience this treatment. You can see in the video what it's about. see if that strikes a chord in you. But yeah, that's what I have to say about Lyme disease and this golden opportunity that such people might be interested in.
Now, did he not also talk about autism and how they were able to cure autism, amongst other things, with this magnetic technology that they're working on? It's amazing. I watched that video. I was just so excited. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, how do we go about making that, and then opening up, beautiful healing clinics all over, and people just, and wow. Yeah. Can we?
Yes. And this is actually what makes the Great Awakening a completely exponential growth possible thing, is the distribution of this technology, which is being worked to be made accessible very affordably. And indeed, Colin is correct. This has reversed people's autism. It's killing people's parasites. It's basically, you could think that it is resonating the core frequency of your many bodies. And I'm talking about your aura and your physical body, Cain and Abel. And it's resonating in their perfect toroidal expression. So anything that is not of that kind of gets just like shaken off or obliterated, or the vibration makes itself fracture. Like you could see people taking like those frequency devices, and you can make a bridge collapse by knowing what the frequency of the bridge is at. So, inflammation is definitely what we've been handed as the cause of disease, but I'm actually starting to consider that it's inflammation as a response to hosting these mites, these morgellons, these parasites, yeast, fungi, mold, bacteria. There's just a litany of what it is. So it's essentially colonization. It goes back to that word. We're being colonized by all different kinds of creatures. And that's why we see that as without resonance of that in our own world. So if you really, if you really want to stop pedophilia, like I said, master your sexuality and get the parasites out of your body. Change yourself. You are projecting this experience. This is a co-creative projection. And the more we resonate to our original state, and take a look at these devices that have a history of bringing people back to wholeness. Because what we're talking about, this is not medical advice. Medical comes from the Medicis. This is not healing advice. Healing is magnetic grounding through your heels, which can be used to so-called heal people. But we're talking about is a radical return to wholeness. That's why we're talking about this at a multiplicity of angles. It's not just about what you eat. It's about what goes in all the 7 portals of your head and your skin and your sexual organs and your etheric bodies. This is holistic, radical return to your wholeness. So absolutely. Check out my most recent video. It'll link to Santos's amazing site, universaltruthschool.com, and Christian the Scientist. I think it's Christian Amenephos Marino, something like that. He has over a quarter of a million followers on YouTube talking about free energy. So, people are messaging me. They're like, yo, bro, you got to be, heightened on the OPSEC when you go about this. OPSEC is the shortening of Operation Security. And yeah, I think to some extent, but because we are finally in the right fish of Pisces, there are 2 fish swimming different direction. We're not in Aquarius. We are in a transition from Pisces to Aquarius. Some people are resonating at a more Aquarian frequency. Some people are doing everything they can to stay in Pisces because they want to process. They want to have that processing of the shadow forced upon them. They don't want to do the work right now, but we're doing it right now so that we can enter into the single I, not the singularity, the transcendence, not the transhumanism, the Hyros Gamos, not this transgenderism. So yeah, check out the recent video. If it speaks to you, I mean, if you're a videographer, reach out to me. I'm a photographer professionally. So I plan to go document this and really help give this some more charge, because like I said, you want to talk Great Awakening? Here's the tech to back that up.
Yeah, and just on your videos, is that on your is that linked in your website that we've got linked at the top? Where do we find that?
Funnily enough, it's not. But I will comment in the discussion right now,
Yeah, if you
and
could
then I'll
just get
comment in the
if you could
chat
just
or in the comments after this too.
yeah, just get that to me, get that link to me, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, I'll send it ASAP.
Cool, thanks. All right. Did you have something to say, Colleen?
I wanted to. I'm not sure if my dog let me. I just wanted to ask: is Santos going to be setting up this Christian in Puerto Morelos, or are they looking for a place to set up there?
So, in one of his videos, he talks about how he wants to set up the Magnetic Healing Center up there in Puerto Morelos. So it looks like he might be where he wants to be to create that. However, I think this is going to have sister sites. I think this is going to have distribution centers. I think it's going to have, relationships with juiceries and people who are on this high frequency that don't want to be treated like they don't know their own body and that we can't take care of themselves, because we're not children anymore. We are stepping into our adepthood of adulthood. And we're reclaiming this gnosis for ourselves. So I think there will be pockets of this, but absolutely looks like Santos is setting up in Puerto Morelos right now.
Great. Okay. Got another question on urine therapy. So this is from Ted, and he's asking, does this benefit someone who is diabetic? How much urine should I drink on a daily basis? And is it okay to drink someone else's urine like my wife's? So just quickly, it's not a good idea to drink someone else's, because the way that our bodies, it essentially creates like a loop to where you're providing feedback to your body by consuming your urine. Your body's able to sort of recognize what's going on internally, and you get those responses through that, and then it helps to regulate. So it's a way to send those accurate responses back to create that feedback loop. So if you're drinking someone else's urine, you're providing the wrong message to it, and you're not going to be getting the same things that are needed, and it's not giving you the same taste response as well, of knowing like, am I eating properly? Because that's the big one, just smelling and tasting it. Like if you don't want to taste it or smell it, it means you're not eating something right. It means you need to be adjusting whatever you're consuming otherwise. So that's a good way to stay with that. And then how much on a regular basis? I don't do it regularly. I do it really when I feel like I'm more pure, as far as like, especially on a juice fast. That's more often when I'll do it. But again, it's just be your own experiment. Just do what feels right and see how you feel. I use mine topically a lot more often. It works well that way as well. And then, does this benefit someone who is diabetic? Yes, I mean, but it really has to be taken in holistically with the whole process of adjusting to the alkaline diet. And again, juice feasting is the fastest way to get to that point. So you got to start with that starting point before you jump right into this. It's got to be a process. It's pragmatic in that sort of sense.
I want to say that there is a book linked in the page that is at the top of the show notes. It is Gabriel Cousins' book on Rainbow Living Foods diet. He has a book on how to get rid of diabetes, and I personally, so I'm also a vegan and a raw vegan chef, and I've walked people who were type 2 diabetics through eating mostly raw foods. He didn't totally go to raw foods, but he got enough to where he stopped taking his insulin. He didn't need to anymore. And since this is affecting the kidneys and adrenal, because adrenal means kidney. So the addition of the adrenal, it sits right on top of the kidney. So if one's affected, likely the other one's affected too. you don't really want to, I wouldn't recommend drinking the urine until those organs are healthy. So you'd really want to go at getting filtration in the kidneys, and going to the master, Gabriel Cousins. He's also an Essene. There's also a link to the Essene Order of the Blue Rose. They're up in Oregon. They're basically doing the holistic synergy of all of these practices we're talking about, from the yoga to the diet to the meditation to this relationship with the earth and the Father and heaven and the mother and the earth, and this balance of the masculine and feminine. They're pretty much the only religion that I've found, maybe I'm sure there are others, but that the women and men are both held in equal standard. There's a high priest and a high priestess. No one is above the other. And I'd really recommend Gabriel Cousins for talking about how to get those kidneys back on tip, so you can then try, and definitely don't drink anyone else's urine. That medicine is customized just for that person.
I've read a couple of manuscripts where the doctors were giving urine because the person was so sick. They were giving someone else's urine to them. But absolutely, your body is the one, it's the biofeedback, right? It's completely letting you know it's just a beautiful form of medicine. You have to do the reading. We'll link all of these manuscripts as we find them. I've got them sorted in different places, but when you read all of these manuscripts and all of these experiments that real doctors have done in the past, and the Chinese have been doing it forever. This whole shibimvu, how did we say that? It's just amazing how long they've been doing it. And water stories that they have to go along with, whether it's known, it absolutely should be are so sick. We're talking where there's lots of pus and everything, and I know it's gross, but lots of really gross things in your urine, and plus all of the pharmaceuticals that people are drinking, or sorry, that they're intaking. There are manuscripts talking about that, so it's really interesting. We will link all of that to Justin's link tree, so you guys can read all of that. It's just really brilliant to get that gnosis of all of those ancients that were doing that. So we'll do that.
Great. All right, guys. Well, we're coming on 3 hours now. Do we want to go ahead and wrap up and close out? Any closing comments from you, Ember?
Sorry, you cut out there. What did you say?
Yeah, so we're coming on 3 hours. I think we'll go ahead and start to do closing comments and close up here. You got any closing comments?
Let me ponder that a minute.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just touch on kind of everything we've discussed here. It's hard to get specific. It starts to get specifics on each individual issue that we're facing and what we're going through. But the whole idea with this is going back to the mother. It's really going back to the simplicity of what she provides, and really getting clear on we don't need doctors. We don't need experts to rely on to tell us how to do things and how to heal ourselves. We just have to go back to the mother and have our relationship with her, and then be your own doctor, be your own experimenter. Get really clear on that. But that can only happen when you're really dedicated to this holistic diet, this holistic state of being, to where you're not only focused on what we're intaking, but through foods, but it's also the breath, as we've mentioned, and it's also the thought, the meditation, and getting really clear on that too. So just make sure that, if you're really serious about this, which the rewards are built into this work, it's beautiful what happens with it. But if you're really serious about it, you got to lean fully into it. There's not really like halfway doing it and expecting it to work out, or I'm going to do it on certain days of a week. And yeah, you can transition, and transition is great as long as the trajectory is in the right place. But we got to be all in. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Colleen, you got anything?
You know what? I just wanted to thank you guys so much for the level of support and love that you have all shown us, and the fact that you're doing the work and that you're interested in this, and that together we're sharing our gnosis, and there's just such a beautiful synergy that's transpiring. And the fact that there is, I mean, this is epic journey we're all on, right? We're on the hero's journey, and we're all in this together. To get her, we're all in this to bring ourselves up. It's just such a beautiful journey, and I'm so grateful for all of you. Like I just want to cry right now, because I mean, the three of you, the three including Charlie, and just all of the beautiful people we've met, we are doing our best and we're doing God's work, and it's just such an honor to share this all with you. And it's just, wow, what an epic time that we're in at this point in our, I mean, we have a month, this next month in March is so powerful. We're heading into, you know, Aries rising. It's like, wow, I've never been so conscious of everything that's happening to me, inside of me. And obviously I'm projecting this out, and I've just done a fantastic job. I'm going to pat myself on the back, because all of you were a part of my journey, and I've magnetized you into me. And so, wow. Thank you all for being there. This is just so beautiful. And I think Charlie's feeding the dogs at this point, but he loves you guys so much. So thank you all. Thank you, Amber, so much. This has been great. It's been wonderful. Your notes, it's just a wonderful connection. Everybody out there is just really happy to have that. And Justin, thank you so much for everything you do. You're just you're my son. I love you.
Love you too.
Oh, I love you both so much. It's such an honor to commune and collaborate on this most important subject at this time. And I just want to first of all say a shout out to Vegetable Police. I saw he was in the chat. He has over 150K followers. Some really great comedy. He's been on a journey. He's pretty much tried everything. He's done the turpentine. He's done the raw. And then he oscillated to the raw carnivore camp and other kinds of carnism. You know, he really kind of methodically did everything. And I saw in the post that he said, "Thank you, Colleen and Charlie. Now I'm back on the vegan diet thanks to your videos." So just to think about how much that can affect people, and just honored to Casey for continuing to experiment and follow his truth, and perhaps we could I'm definitely going to reach out to him, but I'd love to know how did this transition back happen? How is he feeling now? And because you got to know, like, you are going to have cravings for meat, and there's nothing wrong with that. That just means there's still a worm there who wants that. That's all that it means. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Just means that something is in you that's not meant to be there. So once you get out though, what's craving that, no problem. And this is literally how sensitive your body is. I was in Nicaragua and I ate a piece of watermelon that was cut with a knife that had just been used to cut a piece of pork. And I could taste it. I was like, why is this so funny? And then I looked back in this guy's kitchen, because it was like a fruit stand, and he was like giving out samples of fruit. So this really requires a lot of vigilance. Just from eating a slice of watermelon that had been cut with the same blade as a pork, I was having dreams about eating pork that night. And it took me a while. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then I remembered, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that is crazy. That probably tickled a set of neuronal pathways that had been stimulated by those parasites, or they're still there. Honestly, nothing would surprise me at this point. And the chrism and this breath work is excellent for getting the brain parasites, because pork, those parasites go in the brain. And doing the breath work is also really good for candida. It's good for everything. There's a reason eat is in the middle of breath. You are supposed to eat that, because the air has the earth element carbon, the water element hydrogen, the fire element nitrogen, the air element of oxygen. The oxygen is the air element of oxygen, and that's the tetragrammaton. tetra means four, gramma means weight. Every time it says God in the Bible, the original Greek says tetragrammaton. It's the four weights. So breatharian is biblical. You're breathing in God. This is what the teachers of the trees in Hawaiian, the word for teacher in tree is the same word. And the reason is, Christ was hung on a tree, which is made of or hung on a cross, which is made of a tree, yes. And then Buddha got enlightenment under a tree. The moment of their greatest expression was under a tree. Odin hung on the world tree. There's a reason. The trees are the masters of breath. And they're the masters of selflessness, awareness, honesty, love, agapic love, agape love. Look up agape. Look up the kinds of love. I'm so glad that Justin pinpointed that. Last time I said, love is the answer to all these things, because it's the semantic etymological precision is so essential. It's agape. Agape is that love for God. And so the trees are the masters of the chakras. They're the reason we're here, pretty much. We are stewards of these trees. We're honestly not supposed to be pooping in toilets. We're supposed to be having seeds in our poop, so that it goes through your whole body, sees exactly what's going on. You go out, and what used to be a waste product is now feeding countless generations of people. It's the most intelligent design. So I honestly could go 2 hours more. I'm so excited about this topic. I used to eat everything under the sun. I used to do everything I'm telling you not to do. So don't hold me, above yourself in this. Just see me as a reflection. No guru. I don't have time. Colleen doesn't have time. Justin doesn't have time to play the guru, because divine devotion is a full-time joy. It's not a job. It's a joy. Job means persecution. This is not persecution. And really, where you see this is biblically true is, I think it's the best verse in the Bible. I love it. It's 1 John 2:27. The King James says, "The anointing," he's talking about the chrism, "the anointing which ye hath received of him and abideth in you, and ye need not that any man teach you. Yet as the same anointing teacheth you of all things, and is truth, and is no lie, and even as it hath taught you, ye shall abide in him." Now it's beautiful, you're right? It's like saying the chrism is your teacher. But I was looking at that, I was like, that's kind of weird wording. And I did my own translation, because we can all do our own translation right now. And you can see in the link, I did this translation, and I show you where I got the translation from. Now hear this again, and here's what it's really saying. That chrism, which ye have received from here, abideth in you. Because originally it said you had received from him. But what it actually says is you have received it from here, in you. It's nothing to do with some absent father figure. The Father, it's not our Father who is in heaven. That was changed too. It's our Father who art everywhere. Everywhere. That's what it says. And so that chrism, which ye have received from here, abideth in you, and ye not need that anyone, not me, not Justin, not Charlie, not Colleen, that anyone teach you. Yet as the same chrism teaches you of all things, and is truth, and is no lie, and even as it hath taught you, ye shall abide in one's self. Not ye shall abide in him. Him is in here. So it's technically true, but it's very elusive. So if you really read the translation, it's all about the chrism. And the importance of chrism ascension is it activates the 13th cranial nerve, which is called the terminal nerve, which brings our inner net in line. And that gives us access via this terminal to the Akashic records, just like a computer terminal. This is the original trust verified Akashic blockchain decentralized system of our interconnection to the omniverse. May this process of becoming renew our senses, balance our power, and regenerate our soul. We are ready. This is inevitable. Evil never ever wins. Good never wins. There's always a game. There will be advantages in the game, just like chess, black and white. But you got to believe that this charisma is our ultimate protection and food and connection to all of what we're seeking. And I just want to make sure I don't forget this one point, because you're not going to hear it very often, but you need to get out naked in the sun and expose your sexual organs to the sunlight. If you get direct sunlight on your testicles as a man, they grow bigger because it produces testosterone. And you want that, because that's what makes you get up and at 'em. That gives you the go energy. We are all imbalanced right now in the estrogen, which is feeling, which has its place. But you have to have that active principle too. And that active principle has been systematically attacked through clothes, which close you off from the sunlight. So open yourself up. I don't care if you have to get on a roof. I don't care if you have to drive an hour away to go to a nude beach, or if you just have to go camping and find a spot. But women also expose your ovaries. Your ovaries also produce testosterone. We can all use more of that, so we can properly testify and complete this testament of the test of the ment, which mints the moni of the one eye that is our imagination, where we can project back into our original source creation with this inner net, and this finally the intuition and telepathy of those upper chakras are activated, and now we don't even need a computer. If you look at my work, holarchy.cc, you'll see my goal is by 2024, I'm not going to be online anymore. I'm not going to use technology, because what I learned as an artist for 18 years of practicing and selling art and doing installations is that the body is the greatest work of art, and our system is the highest technology. We are the tech. We are the art. The food is your paints, your body is the tapestry. Get busy and reveal the masterpiece that you are. So just as closing thoughts, I want to say we're invited to return to our natural essence. However, expect to put in as much work as one has done to be in your current predicament or position. We are eternal beings, so we may as well invest in our timelessness. Even this goes into the next life. It's going to be worth it. No work will be lost. Juice feasting is the singularly most powerful and effective tool to speed up the process and accomplish multiple goals at once. If you're overwhelmed by the info, start with the Essene Gospel of Peace, linked above. It talks about sunbathing. It talks about parasites. It talks about colonic hydrotherapy. It talks about so many things in a very eloquent language. So if you're having trouble sleeping, I'd also say sleep with the Essene Gospel of Peace washing over you. There's a link in this PDF for that. And it's really simple. Essentially, we just must remove the acids and toxins from our body in order to become more alkaline, not overly alkaline, because that's alkalosis will burn you just like acidosis. So you want to be slightly alkaline, like 7.35, 7.4, depending on who you ask. And know that these foods like turmeric, curry, and ginger, they help insulate the glands so you can hold more heat. If you're addicted to garlic, get off the garlic, sub it for ginger. Ginger is way better for you. Garlic kills both good and bad bacteria. I'm glad I brought that up because garlic is a no-no. Anything in the allium family, garlic, leeks, chives, onions, scallions, they kill both good and bad bacteria. It's the only food that leaks out as a stench from your body. How weird and gross. We don't need that. It's symptomatic that if you're addicted to garlic, you're missing ginger in your life. If you're addicted to onions, you need fennel bulb. The bulb of fennel is kind of like an onion. And if you need that, that gusto, just get familiar with the spices and treat yourself to these finer forms of prana. And just much love and honor and humbleness to be in all of your presence, including everyone who's watching, because you're not here by mistake. You're a part of this radical return to wholeness. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at askamber@protonmail.com. You can see my art at ember.space. That's EMBER.space. Ember is my legal name. Amber is my spiritual name. But I'm not a name at all. I'm a song. And that's the point of having so many names, is because when I also ditched the computer, I'm ditching the name game because some games you can only win by not playing. And if you want to check out my music, go to SoundCloud and look up Remembrancer. Much love and gratitude.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, we'll get your I think a couple of your links are messed up in the show notes, but I'll get your active ones and we'll put them all in there. All right, Charlie, welcome back. What you got for us?
I'll just end my participation in the show today with now this is something that came to me while I was sleeping, and then I was so busy with the animals first thing this morning. So when I finished, I came in and I furtively wrote this down. So I'm just going to read it to you. And this kind of will tie in everything we've done today, but also with what's happening and what's coming. Okay, so there's the wheels are in motion. Wow. And I literally was awakened this morning. I don't know, probably about 5:36, something like that. And it was just it was brought to order, brought to attention because of the sheer weight of the things that are happening in our favor. Remember, this is our gift. We have to become the remembrancer to remember that this is our gift and nobody can take it away from us. So I wrote this. I hope you like it. For over the filth of the three unhallowed towers rests a solitary peak that we must all and will reach. You see, once was the way. We will see it once more, for it is written in the word of God. You see, our one true kingdom is a distant white light. Words need not be spoken, for it is written that we will be there soon. For our one true home is a song, and all who find our family will come to know this tune. Some folk we never forget. Some kind we never forgive. And those have never seen our backs, as we will fight as long as is the day, and as long as we live, we will fight to defend for what is truly and righteously ours. Our eyes are upon our hidden door, and we will ride this rising tide to enter within and take back our long forgotten gold. We must awake, a torch to take, and in the darkness, a light that fills us whole. A lantern must burn bright, thus what was stolen must be returned. We must awake, our song to take, a light to shine for heart and soul. We have not seen the end of this, and we will fight until we reach this bliss, the hidden door. Far away from the three unhallowed towers, the hidden door, where we take back our long forgotten gold. Awake, for what was stolen must be returned, for it is written within the word of God. And that's what I wanted to share. That's what came through me so powerfully this morning, and I just furtively wrote it down. And just know this, I guess the heart and soul of what I was trying to say there, or what was coming through to me, was simply this: we will win. We will always win. I've heard Remembrancer talk about this before. Justin knows this as well. Marie knows this. We cannot lose because we are able. We're ready, willing, and able. And ours is the journey. Ours is the ride, and ours is the hidden door. They can steal it, but only for a while. And all the filth and all the lies and all the disease and all the decay will fall away, because it must, because God's creation is eternally rejuvenated and pristine in every moment, and it is ours. Remember that. Remember that this is our kingdom to share with one another, and what was stolen must be given back. This is the yin and the yang. This is the balance to all things. We will not fail, and what is coming in the next few weeks is going to literally sweep however many people there are and how many continents there truly are. It will sweep through all of us, and it will be a wave of righteousness, because this March 22nd is the rising of Christ consciousness. And we saw this on December 21st, but the conjunction between the Father and the Son, and now we're going to feel it inside of us on March 22nd, which is the resurrection of Jesus Christ within us and above us, and we will never forget. There are those that we will never, ever forget, and there are those that we will never forgive. Those are my words, and I share them with you freely, and I love you so much. Remembrancer, you are a freaking gem. Justin, you are a freaking gem. Colleen, you are a freaking gem. Marie, all of our family, you are a freaking gem, and we love you so much. Remembrancer, thank you for sharing your so valuable essence with all of us, and just washing your whole your hallowedness over us. Thank you.
Truly, so much gratitude, so full of joy, so full of it. That wholeness. Oh man, I love y'all so much.
Wow, I'm so deeply moved. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that art. I think it's so important for us to share art at this time more than ever, because it really consecrates what we are elevating and magnifying ourselves towards. That means all the music you're listening to, all the clothes you wear, all of this. So for you to share that and people to listen to that again and maybe write it down and savor what's going on there, it's really important, because that's the right brain. What my site holarchy.cc is all about, and it's under construction. It's not all complete yet, but the right brain is the artist, that is the child. The left brain is the scientist, that is the father. The center brain is the healer, that's the mother. And so for us to get to this divine child mentality, it is important to do all these practices, but until we get there, if we also magnetize ourselves to the right art and music, it's like a stopgap in the process that can help us feel as if we are there. And then as that feeling becomes more anchored in and honored with this path, we just find ourselves there and laugh the cosmic giggle that we could ever have forgotten in the first place.
Cosmic giggle, I love it.
Loved it so much. All right, guys. Well, this was such a special time. Wow. You can feel the reverberations just pulsating outwards, just beautifully, all over the place. Yeah. Imagination. I.
That's right. Don't you ever kid yourselves. As Remembrancer teaches, it's about the magnetism. That is the center of the temple. You have the Father protecting the Mother, and we are the nation. We are the nation, and we will rise, because that's what magnetism is. It is a constantly, eternally rising scalar wave, and we will rise the tide to the hidden door. And then that's up to you. That's a personal journey, and that's completely up to you. But we will rise the magic tide of the Mother to the hidden door and take back our gold. The real gold, that is what you are, and that is within you, for you are golden.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, just quickly, we'll see you guys on Sunday. Charlie and I will see you on Sunday. Maybe Colleen will join us too. And yeah, we'll talk to you next time. I love you all so much. Truly. Truly.
Agapic love and grace.
Remembrancer, please come back anytime you want. Please.
Yeah.
Please come.
I will. This vibe, this is feeding. I can feel my heart is being fed right now. Literally, I can feel it. I cannot thank you enough for the opportunity to transcend space right now and just feel your guys' presence. Like, this is literally such a potent feeling for me right now. And I know it's everyone who's watching this and will watch in the future. And we're just feeding in to this ultimate force of the Christic geometry, which I'll be doing a presentation on soon, to give you mathematical assurance that there's no losing in this game. You have everything to gain.
Truly. Yeah.
I just had a thought. Maybe we can get the vegetable police, and the five of us can have a discussion. That would be fun.
That's very interesting. Casey, if anyone knows the vegetable police, or if you want to go right now and comment on one of his videos, we'll also email him. I think that's a really great idea.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And we can really focus in on the transition and how to kind of like step by step and get people on that. I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I love you all so much. And yes, Amber, please, anytime, reach out. We'll be here. You're always welcome. You've always got a spot. Even if you just want to hop on for a second, or you want to stay on for the whole show, you're always welcome. Always welcome.
I'm deeply honored, brother. Thank you for the integrity and just anchoring and rootedness and keeping this so cohesive. And your diligence is really humbling, inspiring, brother. Thank you so much, Justin. It's a deep honor, man. Deep honor, brother.
I'm just your mirror, but I appreciate it. I love you all. All right.